604 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. Getting you ready for our Tuesday show, taking a deep dive into a number of insurance bills this morning. We're taking a deep dive all the way through the Capitol, actually, this morning. We do have a busy show for you. We got Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics, coming up later this hour. We're going to talk about Blight and Baton Rouge with Jake Polansky as the latest BR by the numbers is out. Jake, of course, with the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. That's in the 7 o'clock hour. Also in the 7 o'clock hour, Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple. Here we go. Look, we're going to talk with Tim until we're sick of Tim. And I don't know that we can because it's kind of awesome. But I want updates on the regular when it comes to how things are moving forward with insurance bills inside the state capitol. That means talking about it as much as we possibly can. So 7:35, Tim Temple, 8 o'clock hour, right back into the legislative session. Senator Blake Miguez going to join us at 8:15. Bring us up to speed on not just some of the insurance stuff, but some of the Maha bills as well. And he's got a few bills we want to take a look at as well. So Blake Miguez, 8:15, 8:35. We're talking Louisiana Firefighters Foundation. We got Doug Thompson and Kyle Shuford ready to roll. Speaking of ready to roll, that's what we are right now. Top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
The National Weather Service has issued a river flood warning for the Mississippi River at Red River Landing, Baton Rouge, and Donaldsonville, as well as the Atchafalaya down in Morgan City. The flooding is due to runoff from flooding rains up north from a few weeks ago. We talked with Dr. Josh Eaches about this last week, actually. Both the Mississippi and the Atchafalaya rivers have crested at all gauges. They will continue falling. This warning is, it coincides with that, but they will continue to go down.
Number 4.
Enforcement deadline for the Real ID is tomorrow. Dozens of people lined up yesterday at the Express OMV at the corner of Segan and Perkins to get a compliant license or identification card. Now, though the deadline is tomorrow, Matthew Boudreau, head of the OMV, says that is not the last day that you can get a Real ID.
Number 3.
A 5-year-long legal battle within the St. George Fire Department won't be coming to a solution anytime soon, as a countersuit has now been filed. The union filed suit against the St. George Fire Department on behalf of 150 former and current firefighters back in 2020. They're alleging that the chief violated state law by paying new hires more than some longtime employees.
Number 2.
Baton Rouge police officers responded to a reported shooting at the AM Food Mart along Highland Road yesterday evening. First responders in BRPD were called to the convenience store around 8:45 p.m. Monday for the shooting.
Number 1.
Right back to that weather forecast. We've got a flood watch for East Baton Rouge, West Baton Rouge, Ascension, Assumption, Iberville, East Feliciana, Livingston, Point Capiz, St. Helena, St. James, St. Mary, Tangemo, and West Feliciana parishes, as well as over in Mississippi, Amite and Wilkinson counties. That's going to start this evening, and it's going to last through Thursday evening. The weather's about to get nasty. What's trending there, John?
Well, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is scheduled to meet with President Trump at the White House today to work on a deal to get past tariffs.
Yep. Let's go. We'll individual deals everywhere we go. Individual deals, all good. And like we said, some are going to be wins, some maybe not so much.
Right.
So nobody's going to bat 1,000.
That's right.
But if we can pull a handful, 2 hands full worth of wins out of here, okay. Make things a little bit better across the board.
Yes, indeed. Hey, and speaking of wins, John Foster from Addis moves on to the top 7, surviving in last night's American Idol.
Did you watch?
No.
So
but
we put it on. I didn't see him perform. We put it on too late. Turned it on just about in time to watch him move on. He was the last name called before the judges had to decide between the final 2.
Right.
So they had 8 last night. They were narrowed it down to 7. So they were naming 6 people who were safe. And then there were the 2 who were in the running.
Okay.
He was the last one who was safe. Now, the host, Ryan Seacrest, said just because you're like, it doesn't, the 6 that were safe is in no particular order. So that didn't mean Foster got in by the skin of his teeth. That means his name was just the last one announced. So
it's still impressive, right?
Yeah.
I wish I could have watched. I didn't get home till late last night, but oh man, this is such great news.
It's down to say I really don't think it's gonna win. You can't have 2 country singers from within a half an hour of each other in like this turnaround time, you know?
Yeah.
At just going back to the well like that.
Yeah.
But
But-
when his name was announced, the cheering was heavy and steady.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got some fandom behind him.
Who knows? Yeah. Hey, a handful of former LSU athletes were on hand at last night's Met Gala.
Saw
So-
that. I'm not a big Met Gala guy. I'm not a big, hey, here's the craziest suit. Here,
Right.
I look like I'm in the crowd at Hunger Games type of guy. Is it like the Met Gala has turned into that? Although, God, Angel Reese was stunning.
Yeah.
Did you saw some of the pictures
Yeah,
floating
I did.
around?
I did.
Like a classic early 1900s look
Yeah.
to her. Yeah. Joe Burrow was there, Justin Jefferson was there, Angel was there, Flaugier was there, and Sha'Carri Richardson, yeah, track athlete, yeah. But Angel really stood out for the Met Gala.
For the Met Gala.
I don't know. Hey,
But
here's
no,
the thing. Okay, so she stands out. Angel stands out for the Met Gala. She got play tonight. Like, it's hey, okay, great. You're seen. You're gonna go have fun and whatnot.
Yep.
You got work to do, girl. Get
That's
back to
it.
work.
No doubt she will. But
Yeah.
it's funny, Of course, you and I wouldn't keep eyes on a Met Gala, but the
Mm-mm.
fact that LSU's getting
5 LSU
spotlight,
athletes. Yeah.
that's worth seeing.
Yep. We're at 611 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We're going to talk a little bit about LSU baseball when we come back. They are playing Grambling tonight, of course, weather permitting. Before we get to our break, though, want to remind you about P.F. Chang's, the lunch specials starting at $13.99. Dinner special starting at $16.99. If you have not yet made your lunch plans today, and who would by 6:11 in the morning, if you have not made your lunch plans yet today, might want to get on that. P.F. Chang's has got you covered on many different fronts. One of the new items on the menu is the new black pepper chicken. This is crispy Korean-style chicken. It's stir-fried with onions and celery and a bold, savory black pepper sauce. A lot of pop to this. A lot of pop to this. The black pepper sauce, it completely coats all the ingredients. One of the things that they do so well over there is they don't over-fry their vegetables. Normally when you get Chinese food, like if you go like a Chinese takeout place, it's just the vegetables are all like limp. There's no crispness to it. There's no freshness to it. Not with P.F. Chang's. They stay fresh that way. Check them out. You know where to find them. Corporate Boulevard, Town Center. Look for the giant golden horse. $16, $17, and $18, please. Do what? 6:15. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. LSU baseball will be back at it tonight, weather permitting, of course. Tigers ranked in the top 5 in the major college baseball polls. But, man, look, after last weekend, you'd be wrong if you weren't questioning the offense. You had a series loss to Texas A&M. You got a win out of that series loss. You scored 7 runs overall. Now, LSU bats have struggled in previous SEC road series as well. 8 runs against Auburn, and I'm grabbing this thanks to our news partners, the Louisiana Radio Network. They talk with Go 247 sports writer Glenn West. He says there are several players who could perform better. The player on top of the list right now, Stephen Milam, who's only hitting 205.
He's somebody that I think we all thought would be one of your best hitters on this team, and he just hadn't been able to produce in conference play yet, or at least the numbers haven't shown that. So he's somebody that LSU would certainly love to get going a little bit more.
Zach Cowan had a rough go of it in College Station. He has been a very, very consistent bullpen arm. He was tagged with a loss in games 1 and 3 of the series that included a 3-run homer he gave up in the 8th inning in game 3. West says Cowan's been nearly perfect. He would eventually hit a rough patch.
I think you can chalk that up to just a rough outing for him, and until we see more teams maybe kind of catch on to that fastball changeup 2-pitch combo that he has, there's no reason to hit the panic button, I think, on him quite yet.
I completely agree with that. There is no he's been performing very, very well. You got to have the bats behind you. LSU went into that 8th inning with a 4-2 lead. And when you look at how sparse the hitting was leading up to that, you can't put it all on the pitcher at that point. It's like putting an entire football game on the quarterback. They're going to get the most blame because they're out there the most, but it was not on Cowan. Totally. LSU's 15-9 in conference play. You got 2 series to go here. Arkansas, they'll host Arkansas this weekend, and then they'll wrap up at South Carolina. Arkansas I was talking with Musso yesterday, the producer for After Further Review. Arkansas is the only team, I believe he has this right, the only team in the conference who has yet to be swept. So put that on the table coming off of a road loss, right? But Arkansas has been strong. I mean, they swept Texas, was it weekend before last? They're looking good. It's not going to be the easiest road. Now, South Carolina is just abysmal right now. They're not as bad as Missouri. Missouri's historically bad. But so you'll host Arkansas this weekend and then head up to South Carolina. Get back to Glenn West. He says if LSU wins both series, they will likely wrap up a top 8 national seed.
And I think any kind of 19-20 win team in the SEC is good enough in order to make that push and get into that top 4 or 5 seed in the conference. And usually the top 4 in the conference are pretty good shoe-ins to being able to make it into that top 8 national seed.
So before you do that, before you can look at who you're hosting, you got to pull down some wins. 4 wins ought to get it. 5 wins would do you even better, but that means getting at least 1 sweep. You got to get done. You got to get it done at home to start off with versus Arkansas. Actually, before any of that, you got Grambling State tonight, and I'm looking at the weather, and they're going to be hard pressed to get this game in tonight because the forecast starts with a 30% chance of rain in the early afternoon hours, like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. By 5 o'clock, you're at a 70% chance of thunderstorms. And it's going to remain at that level. Lightning strikes and everything. And, the lightning is more detrimental to playing baseball than the rain is. Because once you have the lightning, everybody's got to get off the field for half an hour. But that 70% chance of rain is going to stick around until at least tomorrow morning. We'll see how it plays out. If they do play it, it'll be on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. They ain't playing this game. All right, let's head on back to the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center. And it's actually a relatively light morning this morning. Your normal volume on 12 westbound around Denham Springs has not really built up yet. You're going to find some, not even delays really, just minor volume on that spot by Range Avenue. On 10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish, we're looking great. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish, we're looking great. I-110 is looking fantastic as well, with the minor exception of if you are if you're hopping on 110 southbound, if you're hopping off of 110 northbound by Airline, and you're actually going to find a little bit of added congestion right there, which is unusual for this time of morning. Surface streets, there's no accidents to report, but I am showing congestion. Government at South Acadian. That's your look at traffic from the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center. Hey, Scott, you got a red Jeep? Story of BRZ. Yeah, it stopped and then backed into the Tesla. Oh, yeah. The back of the pack parking lot. I'm about to talk about it right now. The what? The pack parking lot. Okay, so you got the parish. It's directly across from the church. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the parish activity center. .624 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So, has the political retribution behind, or I should say against Elon Musk come home? Is it now here in Baton Rouge as well? We've been seeing stories on the news in recent months. Well, I guess ever since Elon Musk took over Doge. We've been seeing stories regularly from around the country about people taking it out on Teslas. If you drive a Tesla, you're connected to Elon Musk. If you're connected to Elon Musk, you're a horrible person. And therefore, retribution should come your way in the form of keying your car or some form of violent act against a vehicle. Well, according to our news partners at WBRZ, this might have come all the way home. And when I say all the way home, I mean like to my own church fair. Per WBRZ, one family is looking for a driver who hit their Tesla after a church fair on Saturday night, believing the incident to be politically motivated. Tesla owner Jose Mendoza said his family was making their way back to the car after an evening at the Mercy Fair. Their car, a blue Tesla, sat alone with few other vehicles in the parking lot. Quote, I was approaching my car when I saw a Jeep near my car. Really didn't think too much of it. Then I saw it back up. Seen in security video, the red Jeep drove past the blue car before stopping and backing up. The Jeep in the video paused once more before reversing and hitting the Tesla. Mendoza says he ran after the Jeep, but was unable to get clear pictures of the license plate. And I don't think the video really gave clear pictures of the license plate as well. Watching the video, Mendoza said the hit looked intentional and he believes the car may have been targeted because it was a Tesla. Quote, the only thing I can think of is maybe the political climate. I mean, at this time, I can't think of any other reason why someone would do that. Okay, so our news partners at WBRZ have this story. And I've watched the video over and over and over again. And a couple things to go in here. All right. Number one, getting from where they were at the fair to back to their Jeep, that's a nice long walk. So there's it from when the fair shuts down until the video, There's, a little bit of time right there. Number two, the parking lot they were actually in is a pretty secluded parking lot. It's behind the Parish Activity Center, and there's a direct outlet to Government Street. If you wanted to have some sort of premeditated, political retribution right there, it's actually a convenient place to do that. But I will say this, watching the video, it's hard to think that it's anything but intentional. This red Jeep drives right past it and then comes to a stop, waits a moment, and then backs it up and drives in. It's very, very clear, like, oh, look at that. Is that a Tesla? Oh, let me go ahead and do this. Backs into it and then takes off. And then you see Mendoza in the parking lot, who I would really like to get his 40 time because he was booking it. Like in the video, Jose Mendoza could have been at the NFL Combine. He had closing speed. But is this where we're at in Baton Rouge now? Has it come to this right here? When you see stories, like I'm scrolling through ABC News, just one of the news feeds that they have, over the course of, my apologies, y'all. It's over the course of the last month. What we're seeing from ABC News is Arizona, Texas, Missouri, scrolling down along with it, California again, and Nevada. Reports from all these places about possibly politically motivated attacks against Tesla. And those are just the ones that made the national news. You would think here in Louisiana, here in South Louisiana, during fair and festival season, at a Catholic school fair, late at night, you're going home. It's a glorious day. Everybody had fun all weekend long. And this is where your mindset is. What's wrong with you? This is where your mindset is. That's a blue Tesla. Get him. I don't understand that. And I also don't understand if you've got something political against Elon Musk, what does that Tesla driver have to do with Elon Musk? Odds are he purchased that vehicle before Doge started happening. He's got literally a 5-month window in which, should he have receipts on his car saying when and where he purchased it from? I mean, do we have to disclose? Look. I was driving an EV before it was no longer cool to drive an EV. Back when we were all hip to this game, that's when I was doing this. Not now. It's 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, and that's what's in the top of your mind. Red Jeep person, you just bite me, and collectively everybody else. It's 6:30. Here's news.
Yeah, but you're not lying, man. Mr. Mendoza.
You saw the video?
I thought it was sped up.
No, yeah, you saw the video?
Yeah,
Your boy's got foot speed.
I was like, if I was in that Jeep, man, I'd be panicking. I'm like, he's gaining on me. Yeah, you'd almost think it was sped up, but it's not. Dang, he comes out of nowhere. Look at that. Like, and once he comes in the frame, I mean, he's in the street. Wow. Like, dang. But yeah, this is pathetic.
Look, you're looking at it. Is it completely intentional?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. So, and there's no reason for that Jeep to stop at all.
No.
That Jeep is almost to Government Street and then backs into the car, turns and backs in, hits it perfectly square.
Yeah, the car's just sitting by itself. Like there's no reason. Couldn't say like, oh, I'll try to back it into a spot. It's clear. He's all clear.
What I really, really, really don't like is when the red Jeep gets out on a government street and turns right, which you have to turn right there because there is an elevated neutral, an elevated flower bed or whatever in the median, a part of the government street road diet. So when he turns right there, you could see the flashing blue lights from a police car on the other side of the road because they were directing traffic as everyone was leaving the fair. Now, this part of this parking lot it's behind the PAC and the rectory.
Yeah.
So like it's the backside. Nobody's really over there.
Yeah, because I could just keep replaying the footage.
Yeah.
So he went. Oh man, yeah, that's totally. That's messed up. Dude. For those who haven't seen it, I mean, this guy picks up some speed, man. Like. Byron says it's hard for me to imagine a left-wing radical driving a Jeep.
All the ducks on the dashboard are rainbows. How about that? How's that? I'm not even in the chat yet, y'all, but
Byron says, I drive a German car. I'm glad the hate Hitler fervor has died down. Oh, man. No, Galen, the video is not sped up. Because if you look at the red Jeep, I mean, everything else is still the same. Same speed. No, your boy's booking it. Like, he is. Yeah.
It's got closing speed.
Yeah. Like,
if the video were sped up, that Jeep would have, like, gone at the same pace.
Right. Exactly. Mm.
I just texted him 3 topics.
Oh, okay. Hi, good morning, Mr. Jeff. This is John with Brian Haldane. Hey, looking to have you on here in just a few minutes. All right. Thank you.
We're going to 49, by the way.
What's that?
We're going to go to 49.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, the plot thickens. Kill the mics. We're not going to say that.
No. Nope.
Here's a question for you. What's the difference between a politically motivated crime and a hate crime?
I mean, the lines are kind of blurred right there, right? I mean, it's technically hate.
I find very few crimes that aren't motivated by hate, but
right?
like,
you know what I mean? But, yeah. Should it be charged as such? Is that what you're saying? Should it be? Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, all right, time to get a look at your forecast, and yes, it will get nasty. The actual weather, not the forecast itself. Here's Emma Kate Cowan. 638 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We are holding at 67 degrees right now in downtown Baton Rouge. Man, we got a lot of ground to cover with Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. We'll pick his brain about the ongoing session. The garbage fight down in the French Quarter is picked up as well. But before that, I think I'm going to throw everything off the rails. Jeff, good morning. How are you, man?
Good morning, Brian. Doing great.
So I was covering a local story here in the last segment. And it is, I mean, when I say local, we're talking about my children's school fair. And there was an incident in the parking lot after the fair closed down on Saturday night where a person in a red Jeep appears to intentionally back their Jeep into a blue Tesla. And it looks very intentional, and the owner of the Tesla believes it's politically motivated. So I want to start off that. There's no wrong answers here, Jeff. I'm hitting you with this out of the blue. Kind of a thought exercise. Should politically motivated crimes be charged as hate crimes?
Wow.
Right?
Wow. So I don't really like the whole concept of hate crime.
Me neither.
Because I think all crimes, where you murder someone is a hate crime. Obviously, you have special designations that seem to be not uniformly applied when dealing with quote unquote hate crimes. So I don't really like that whole concept of that.
I don't
it
either.
Should be equally applied across the board. Why did the person think that backing into a Tesla was a hate crime? That they were upset about the Tesla?
Yeah, we've been seeing these going on around the country where people are vandalizing Teslas because Elon Musk owns Tesla. So it's supposed to be, the owner of the Tesla believes it was politically motivated. So
wow.
And I don't like the idea of hate crimes either. I don't like the idea of attempting to diagnose what's going on in someone else's mind. But if you're going to have the rules, and that's the way the rules should be, or if that's the way the rules are set, then they should be followed accordingly. Like I would like to change the rules, but as long as we have those rules, wouldn't this apply to that?
Yes, because obviously you have that kind of craziness going on across the country, and I saw it during Mardi Gras when people were abusing the drivers of these Teslas. And I mean,
I remember that. Yeah, the Cybertrucks.
Yeah, and you had these idiots that were, going crazy, pounding into the Tesla. I don't even know if the guy was charged. I mean, he was captured on video.
Yeah.
And sort of got a look at his face. But, I mean, and then you saw all, of course, so that was sort of the precursor. And then you've seen for the last few weeks attacks on dealerships and all kinds of craziness. I hope that's going to calm down now that Elon Musk is taking a step back. Yeah. But who knows?
I think the overall fervor against Tesla specifically, or against Elon Musk specifically, will begin to subside. Probably not that quickly, but I mean, think about it. If you're driving through, if you see an incident where someone targets someone else because of the color of their skin, that would be designated a hate crime.
Correct.
Like your instant motivation, your instant trigger within your mind is, I hate this person because of that. I don't know.
What about people that go after folks that have MAGA hats on? I mean, I've
same thing.
Seen plenty of those stories.
Same thing. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. You are targeted because of that. You are targeted because of a belief. Just like I don't want to equate politics to religion, but the retribution against has reached that fever pitch.
I mean, I covered a story yesterday about a teacher in Maine who, started making threats against, President Trump, asking the Secret Service to take him out. And this is a woman who's an English teacher, and she realizes that she can no longer teach English because she can't keep her anger in check. So she's gone on social media, made these threats, and now she's being investigated. So she's ruined a career as an English teacher because she can't control herself. So amazing.
Yeah, and this is where I've got to admit, I've got a friend who left a voicemail to a state legislator a while ago, and it was a profanity laden voicemail, and the news picked it up when he turned it over to the news, and it sounded like there was a physical threat within it, and the guy felt awful about it after the fact. But this is like, why do we have this kind of rage control issue overall. I mean, how have we gotten this pitted against each other now?
Right. Well, I mean, I think there's a serious case of Trump derangement syndrome that is that morphed into Musk derangement syndrome, and has been going on all over the country. It's. I mean, I've really seen it since the beginning of the Trump phenomenon back in 2015, but it seems to have gotten progressively worse. And I don't know. I don't know if post-Trump it will calm down, or whether this is a new, a new description of how we have political discourse in this country. That would be a sad thing, because I mean, there were times in American history where we all came together and supported an administration or what was happening in the country, and it just seems like we're so divided now. It's just very sad. Very sad.
It is. And the problem is the person who puts down their arms first, that's going to be perceived as weakness. An olive branch will be perceived as weakness.
Right.
So I don't know how to get past it.
Yeah. Like, one of the clips I'm going to be sharing today is this, like, Ilhan Omar. And, she's talking about how threats, the white men are the real threat in this country. And that's just, incredibly divisive, incredibly harmful. So we'll see, Brian. We can always hope.
No, I know. And look, I don't want to make it sound like this is a one-sided thing, okay? Because we're guilty of it on the right as well. How many times have you heard radio hosts on the right say the left wants to destroy America? Like that implies motive, right? It's not They have different ideas than we do. I believe that their ideas will take us down the wrong path. It's they want to destroy America. At that level of rhetoric, it doesn't de-escalate. But
what I would like to see is a focus on issues and consequences and policies, as opposed to personalities.
Yes.
Where we actually debate, how do these policies work out? I mean, let's look at the evidence of, let's say, the Biden administration's policies versus the Trump administration's policies. Take away the personalities and the emotion. Let's just look at how they worked and evaluate based on that, based on results.
Yep. I guess there's just no money in that, though. Somehow your storylines have to have this Venn diagram that's between the young and the restless and Mid-South wrestling.
Okay.
Well,
you just mentioned one of Kamala Harris's favorite things, and that's Venn diagrams.
Well, apparently I want to destroy America then. Hey, what's the latest on your garbage battle down in the French Quarter?
Well, we got the rock star of trash on one side, and that is Sidney Torres, who, by the way, good friends with Lenny Kravitz, who closed out the Jazz Fest. And Lenny Kravitz says he's always going to be New Orleanian, even though he doesn't have his French Quarter place anymore. But, those two, I mean, Sidney Torres is like a celebrity. And but he does a great job with his company. And people love him. And they love the work they do. They say that the French Quarter has never looked better, never smelled better. I mean, he's got fragrances that, he's now pumping into the French Quarter. It smells good, looks good. But the administration is intent on ripping away his contract. And the council's like, no. So, the battle is on between, Ivy Waste, which is Sidney Torres' company, and a company called, Henry Consulting, which is going to take over the contract. Troy Henry is a good guy, very politically connected, is going to get the contract. And then the city council is getting involved. And the mayor says the city council doesn't have the ability to stop it. So it's playing out on all kind of different levels. But there's signs popping up in the French Quarter. And I saw it the other day. I mean, supporting Sidney Torres, saying keep Ivy Waste.
I was reading up on NOLA.com. They were showing some pictures of some of the signs and whatnot. I think the bigger question here, we got about 90 seconds to go, but the bigger question here, Jeff, is that why, well, I'm going to answer my own question, but why such a strong push by the mayor to make a change on her way out the door?
Well, I think the mayor is looking for confrontation with the council. The mayor is upset that the council has tried to limit her and challenge her. There's deteriorating relations between the mayor and the city council, and this is just another flashpoint. And there is a person that is connected to the mayor that she wants to take this over, Troy Henry, and the council is listening to the constituents and listening to the positive feedback. So, I mean, it is battle royale, and it just seems like the residents are saying, "Hey, listen to us. What about what we want?"
Yeah.
So, and this is universal. People I talk to all over the place really like how the quarter is looking now, and they're thinking, "Why in the world would you take this away
Right.
from someone who's doing such a good job?"
It's showing wins right here. I don't know why we want to abandon wins on any stretch. In the meanwhile, I know you got a show to get to. I always appreciate the time. Thanks for letting me derail it. Great conversation this morning.
All right. Okay, Brian.
We'll
take
talk
care.
to you soon. He's Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. I had a stack of topics to talk about with Jeff, but when we're talking about that other one, I think it's a bigger question. Okay, we got Your Money Now coming up 1 minute from right now. I do need to remind you about the folks at Mathern's within that minute. So, Mathern's is back in Kenilworth, right? We've been talking about this for a couple weeks now. They're back in their OG location. Way back in the day, they used to be called Kenilworth Supermarket, right there on Highland, just west of Kenilworth. It became another grocery store, but now they've come home again. The family you miss, the prices you miss, have come back home again to their original location on Highland, just west of Kenilworth Parkway. And if you live in that area, quick heads up, download the app. The Mathern's Rewards app, I use it all the time. At a minimum, I use it weekly. Every time I go into Mathern's, if I'm grabbing lunch, if I'm picking up a couple groceries, whatever it is I need, I have them scan a little barcode. I'm earning cash towards more groceries every time I shop. You can be doing so too, and it's good at all three locations: downtown on 3rd, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, or off Kenilworth. It's Mathern's. Is that 311? What? Yeah. 655 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We are keeping one eye on the weather. It's not going to change minute by minute within the show this morning, but things are going to get bad before the day is over with today. LSU baseball is supposed to play against Grambling tonight. Man, I'm not the most positive mindset about this game getting done. By first pitch, we'll be at a 70% chance of not just rain, but thunderstorms. We're under flash flood watch through up the greater Baton Rouge area. And you can't back it up and play it earlier because the rain looks like it's going to start around 2 p.m. So we will see. Hey, don't forget tomorrow morning right here on Talk 1073 FM, 9:45 a.m. In fact, I was just texting with Moon. Let him know he's getting bumped. 9:45 a.m. tomorrow, LSU and Mississippi State. 10 a.m. is your first pitch. Pregame will begin at 9:45. The softball Tigers are in the SEC tournament as the 9 seed. They'll play the 8 seed Mississippi State at 10. So you've got that right here on Talk 1073 FM. Also, if you visit talk1073.com, the Spring Cha-Ching, powered by Citizens Bank and Trust, is back. Register today at talk1073.com for your chance to win $5,000 cash. It's Spring Cha-Ching from Citizens Bank and Trust and Talk 1073 FM. You heard it in news at the bottom of the hour right there. One of the stories that our news partners are following comes to us from the legislative session. And if you're collecting unemployment, you might soon be required to increase your work searches and keep your job interview appointments in order to keep your benefits. HB 153 passed yesterday by a vote of 73 to 24, with all but 2 of the no votes coming from Democrats. It's written by Lafayette Republican Troy Aber, who says he's heard from employers who have been stood up for job interviews.
Said, I've had 8 people in a row fail to show up for an interview over the last 2 weeks. The American workforce isn't what it used to be. And then he puts, any of my government friends or other HR friends know what's going on out there with unemployment.
Aren't we all having workforce issues right now? I mean, doesn't this exacerbate it? For those that don't want to work, why not? Why aren't you back in the game? Aber says his bill is not creating anything new. Instead, it would be codifying a system that has been in place for a year. He did, however, say the number of weekly job searches would increase on the advice of the Louisiana Workforce Commission.
LWC would like to increase from 3 to 5. That more opportunity searching for a job may help lead somebody to a job quicker.
One would hope, as long as everything's on the up and up. I mean, you can't have George telling people to call Jerry's apartment and say you're Vandelay Industries. Hebert says this process has worked well in the year since it was implemented.
You didn't even know until we tried to codify it that this process has been in place for a year working. None of you were alerted out there that this process was awful and doing bad things.
So the purpose of codifying the bill is so that it remains in place regardless of any future administration that enters office. Opponents of the bill say it's a way to make it easier for people to be pushed off of unemployment benefits. I got to disagree with that. I mean, unemployment benefits are not supposed to be a forever allowance. Re-up somebody till they can find a job again. Hebert pointed out in the year since the system's been in place, only 1% of those collecting unemployment benefits were deemed ineligible as a result of this change. The bill heads over to the Senate. I'm expecting it's going to get plenty of support on that side as well, and I really think this is one that Jeff Landry would sign off on. We're coming up on 7 o'clock. Time for news, traffic, weather. Hour 2 is next.
What's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, a little cold. Make me want to get out there on the
I'm
lake.
telling you, man. Little.
Hey,
It's probably the music.
what you doing, player?
Getting up to give you a hug, brother.
Dude, I think you get the best out of it.
How are things?
I'm going off on Trump.
Why?
First time ever. Really.
Why do you want to destroy
We
America?
gave them all the damn illegals money to come here, give them airplane rides, we give them health care, we give them phones, we put them in 5-star hotels. Then we're going to pay them $1,000 to get out of here? How about 1.6 million veterans? Let's get them $1,000 first. I'm going down the list. That's bull crap. Give them $1,000. Hey, how about me? I'm 65. I never got arrested, and I have no criminal record, and my kids never went to public school. Can I get 1,000? I've never leached off anybody. It's amazing. Giving a legal $1,000. Jesus Christ. Come on, Trump. Ridiculous. Anyway.
You're 65? You look good, man. You look good for 65.
So anyway. You know what? Hey, you know the best thing somebody can tell me?
What's that?
And I love it.
What?
You're immature. You're damn right I am. That's the best compliment somebody can give a 65-year-old raise.
Yeah.
You're immature. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I stopped maturing as a sophomore in high school.
Oh,
I'm
man.
never going to be mature.
No, maybe
It's not my DNA, Rich.
I hear you, brother.
Life's too short.
So you good, man, family? How's James doing? What's he up to?
Today is Wax Museum Day, where all the kids in 3rd grade, they pick a character in American history, they pick a person in American history, and they have to reenact them as if you were going to a wax
So
museum.
who you pick?
P.T. Barnum.
Love it.
That's
Barnum
awesome,
and Bailey
right?
Circus,
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. I'm like James. Albert Einstein, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, George Washington,
I didn't take him.
James Naismith.
I like James. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
James Naismith. I mean, give me somebody. The guy who invented basketball.
I can't say that.
You want?
No, I'm talking about.
Oh.
Gosh. What the?
Hey, Rich. I thought you were talking about the 100 person. I mentioned it when it first opened. Son of a bitch! I just moved the one supposed to be here. There were 2 guys over there yesterday afternoon. I'm getting another guy cooked right now. Put a damn lock on the fridge. I thought Moon was coming in today, so I put 2 Diet Cokes in the little fridge yesterday. One of them's already gone. Supposed to. No more. No more. I might get my second fridge in here with a lock on it. I'm too mad right now. God damn it. 7:05 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing, getting you ready for a busy hour. We got Jake Polansky from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber coming up in our next segment. Latest BR by the Numbers Substack is out. Actually came out at the end of April. Headline: Clearing Baton Rouge's blight bottleneck. Hundreds of blighted properties are holding Baton Rouge back. Several backed bills could move the region forward. Let's talk about this with Jake Polansky in our next segment. Also this hour, Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple slated to join us at 7:35. What is the latest on the insurance bills at the state capitol? Well, he'll bring us up to speed. Next hour, Senator Blake Miguez is going to join us for another look inside the state capitol. Right now, though, we start you off with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Got a couple from the National Weather Service this morning on the flood front. The National Weather Service has issued a river flood warning for the Mississippi River at Red River Landing, Baton Rouge, and Donaldsonville, as well as the Atchafalaya River at Morgan City. The flooding is due to runoff from flooding rains up north a few weeks ago. Has nothing to do with the current rain that we've got right now. By the way, both the Mississippi and Atchafalaya rivers have already crested at all local gauges, so they will continue to fall.
Number 4.
The National Weather Service has issued a flood watch for East Baton Rouge, West Baton Rouge, Ascension, Assumption, Eberville, East Feliciana, Livingston, Point Capiz, St. Helena, St. James, St. Mary, Tangipahoa, and West Feliciana parishes also. And over in Mississippi, Amite and Wilkinson counties are under the flash flood watch. It kicks in this evening. Will continue through Thursday evening.
Number 3.
The enforcement deadline for the Real ID is tomorrow, and dozens of people lined up Monday morning at the Express OMV at the corner of Segan and Perkins Road to get a compliant license or identification card. 1.2 million Louisianans have gotten theirs already. The deadline is tomorrow, but Matthew Boudreau, head of the OMV, says that's not the last day that you can get one.
Number 2.
A 5-year-long legal battle within the St. George Fire Department will not be coming to any resolution anytime soon. A countersuit's been filed. The union filed suit against the St. George Fire Department on behalf of 150 former and current firefighters back in 2020, alleging Chief Gerard Tarleton violated state law by paying new hires more than some longtime employees.
Number 1.
Baton Rouge police officers responded to a reported shooting at the AM Food Mart yesterday evening. First responders and BRPD were called to the convenience store around 8:45 p.m. Monday for the shooting. It is where you got to note here, this is the AM Food Mart on Highland, not the one that's on the corner of Lee and Nicholson, over there on the backside of, I guess it's close enough to Tigerland to call it the backside of Tigerland. Cajun turkey with pepper jack, John.
Whoa.
Cajun, Amart. Whoo.
Yeah?
Dude, everybody knows what I'm talking about right now.
I like that.
Everybody, if you went to LSU, you know Cajun turkey with pepper jack.
Okay. That sounds delicious.
It's a very, very good sandwich.
Of course.
It's in a hot press sandwich.
They
put the press on it.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
the press.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Sounds good.
It is.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is scheduled to meet with President Trump at the White House today to work on a deal to get past tariffs.
Let's hope so. I mean, I don't want to see him walk out of this meeting becoming the 51st state. We need Canada to get to Greenland, right? We don't want to skip Canada and go straight to Greenland.
Oof. Work our way down. Work our way up.
Yep.
But the conversation is going to be had, so yeah, we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah. Here's what I'm guessing. Trump will get something out of the deal, and we're all gonna feel like we got to win, and because we will have gotten a win, because the needle will be moved in some way, shape, or form. We will be slightly better off than we were before, but the Canadian Prime Minister can go back saving face, saying, "Look what I got for us. Tariffs are going away." Blah blah blah.
Yep. Awesome. John Foster from Addis moves on to the top 7, surviving in last night's American Idol.
So I got to watch the last couple performers.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see John Foster perform. I tuned in too late. I did get to see him as the last name called before the final 2.
Okay.
Someone was on the chopping block, right? I did get to see that part. And even though his last name called, Ryan Seacrest said the people whose names were called, they weren't in any particular order. So he wasn't necessarily last. Huge amount of applause for him. Yeah. So he's definitely got some crowd backing, to be sure. So, I will say, of the people I saw perform last night, not impressed. I'm just not there with it. Now I know this is season 152 of American Idol.
Exactly.
And we just had a Louisiana guy win this thing not too long ago. So
what are the chances we see a second, right? That soon?
You can't have somebody from Denham and then 2-3 seasons later have someone from Addis.
I don't know, man. We got the talent, man. We'll just take
sure.
over.
Of course, we've got the talent.
It's gonna be Louisiana's got
we
talent
listened
after
to him
a while.
yesterday. We listened to him perform. Let's give him something to talk about.
That's right.
He's good.
Yeah.
What we heard yesterday was way better than anything I heard last night.
And if the performances you're seeing are lackluster, and this guy's shining through that, well, then hey, who knows, right?
Yeah.
But Louisiana's got talent. That's what it has.
Mm-hmm. We do.
Hey, speaking of talent, a handful of former LSU athletes were on hand at last night's Met Gala.
All right. You had Joe Burrow.
Yep.
You had Justin Jefferson.
You did.
You had Angel Reese, who looked amazing. She pulled off that look very, very well. It's like
for sure
early 1900s kind of look, maybe.
Yeah.
That's it. You had Flau'jae Johnson, and then Sha'Carri Richardson as well. That's. I don't know what puts someone in the Met Gala. I don't know what gets you to want to do that, other than wanting to dress like a character from Hunger Games.
Hey, maybe so.
Yeah. That's everybody that goes to the Met Gala dresses like they're about to go watch the Hunger Games. Is that what's? Do we feel like we're a step closer?
Might be
to Hunger Games because of the Met Gala.
Maybe so. I think so. Right. Slowly getting there.
Hey, can you get individual player props on WNBA games? Because whatever Angel Reese's points are tonight, I'm taking the under.
Yeah.
Because she's got to play tonight. She was at the Met Gala last night. Thinking maybe her.
It won't be Hunger Games, though. It'll be like everyone showing up to the 100 men versus a gorilla.
Wait, that trend will not go away, will it?
It won't.
And I love it. Every time I turn around, there's another video with someone who's got the right solution. The best one I saw, John. I know we get Jake Polansky up next. The best one I saw, and the more thought people put into it, the better. Because 100 men aren't beating a gorilla any day, ever. Okay, But the best one I saw, the guy said, my first guy in is going to be John Cena because the gorilla won't see him coming.
See him. That's it.
Oh, my God.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right, 7:13 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We are due up for a quick break. Before we take that break, though, got to remind you about the folks at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is the website. You want to fly local. You want to fly out of your backyard. You want to fly with a local business. You don't want to have to worry about hauling an hour down the interstate to get to the airport. Oh, and let's not forget about paying for parking down there. Oh, and let's not forget about the TSA maze. Oh, and let's not forget about you might not even have to pay for parking if you can Uber to the dadgum airport and or have a friend give you a ride. You can do that with flybtr.com. You can do that when you fly out of the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Check out flybtr.com for flight info. Check out flybtr.com for all the information on the airport. Direct flight daily to Washington, D.C. Comes home same evening. In fact, that flight should be taken off in about 2 minutes. Learn more about the flights and all the perks and amenities at flybtr.com. Okay. When we get to the top of the hour news at 8 o'clock, do you want to do the outside in at the end of the show or do you want me to record it? Okay. I'm leaving at 8:30. Okay. I do. I have it written. Yeah. Good. I didn't want to record it because I didn't know timing wise, but at 8:30 we can end the Facebook Live, and actually you can leave the Facebook Live open, but I've got to go to my son's school. $7:16 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Why'd you have to open that Pandora's box, John? That's all I can think about now.
That's it.
That's gonna be the rest of the show.
Just guys.
100 men versus the gorilla.
And the gorilla just plowing through them.
Yeah.
Just tossing guys left
I mean,
and right.
It's inevitable. The
Right.
gorilla's gonna win.
Absolutely.
But now, like, how am I supposed to concentrate on the rest of the show now?
But if anybody wants to step up, I mean, we'd love to be a spectator in that.
Oh no.
Why?
I don't want to watch a dismemberment in front of me.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It will get nasty.
All right. Who's your 100? You don't have to list all 100. Who's your top 5? Post them up on the Facebook live chat. We are live on Facebook every day, courtesy of Lake Urgent Care. Let's get back on topic. Clearing Baton Rouge's blight bottleneck. That's the latest Substack from BR by the Numbers. Jake Polansky is with me. Jake, how are you, man?
Hey, Brian, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing very well as well. 100 men versus a gorilla. Who's your first man in?
The Rock might be a good pick. Arnold Schwarzenegger like 30 years ago.
So you're invoking time travel in this one as well. I like it. I like it. Hey, before we get into the blight bottleneck thing, ran into you last week at the Planned Baton Rouge 3 meeting. What were your takeaways?
Yeah, it was good to, finally meet you in person after, coming on your show for the last 3 or 4 years now.
Right.
But I thought the turnout was incredible. It showed that there was a lot of energy and that there's a lot of people who care deeply about the future of our downtown. You know, if you kind of looked at who was there, it was not just people who live downtown or people who work downtown. It was really, you know, people from across the city. So that was really great to see. I thought the consideration that the firm, Sasaki, has given to the process shows that they are really taking this seriously. Overall, I was really excited, and it seems like the project is moving in the right direction.
Absolutely. And it's in the feedback process right now. And this is where Sasaki's really going to make their money, where they're really going to earn their money, is in, of all the wants, needs, and desires that we have, how do you whittle it down to something that's doable while keeping everybody on board?
And I think that is key. You know, it's doable, and they've done this type of work before. They've looked at funding solutions in communities like ours to make sure that, you know, if we want to do apartment building or we want to do townhomes or whatever, that we have kind of the structures in place that we need to get it done. They've looked at policy solutions to make sure that, you know, we don't have any kind of hurdles there that we have to jump over. I mean, this is a world-class firm, and I think they're going to do a great job with it. Absolutely.
All right, let's move over to the latest BR by the numbers. Let's talk blight. 53,000 vacant homes across the capital region. What's inside the numbers?
Yeah, so our latest Substack on BR by the numbers looked at blight in Baton Rouge. I think, you know, I'm sure all of your listeners who drive through Baton Rouge see blight on a daily basis, and they understand that not only is it unsightly, but it's probably contributing to some problems kind of deeper than just that unsightly appeal. So blight is one of the biggest issues that BRAC is tracking this legislative session. There's a few House bills and a Senate bill that we're tracking that we think would do a lot to help solve some blight issues in our community. But we wanted to put out kind of a research report that looked at blight across the capital region to make sure everyone understands that this is a significant issue. And also we wanted to dig into some of the research just to show that, you know, a lot of really smart people from across the country and across the world have looked at blight, and they understand that blight contributes to crime.
Yes.
They understand that blight contributes to lower property values and neighborhood destabilization. And it's not just us saying this and shouting this from the rooftops. It's, you know, real academics have put out research that shows that blight is a problem, and that is why we need to do something about this in Baton Rouge.
Okay, so now we get to dig in fully here. Okay, yes, blight is connected to crime. Digging yourself back out of blight is the hard part, because you've got that chicken and the egg situation. Who wants to buy a home in a high crime area, and how do you reduce the crime without selling off the homes? Once we're dug in, how do we get out?
That's right. And, you know, that's the tough part. And I think that's what some of these bills that are working their way through the legislative process would help us address. So a couple of the bills are House bills that deal with expropriation authority, and they would essentially give Bill Baton Rouge, which is our parish's redevelopment authority, as well as our mayor president, the authority to expropriate homes that have gone through the condemnation proceedings in the blight process. And this is an authority that is granted to other redevelopment authorities across the state. I mean, look at Lafayette, look at Opelousas. This is not something novel that we are trying here. Mm-hmm. This is something that has been proven to work in other communities across the state. And another bill is granting condemnation authority. This is the Senate bill. Another bill is granting condemnation authority to the mayor president, because right now condemnation authority is granted to the Metro Council, and they only hear up to 25 condemnation proceedings a meeting, and they don't always hear 25 at each Metro Council meeting. And so, you know, we're playing catch up. We're playing a perpetual game of catch up. Yes. If we just try to hear 25 every meeting. I mean, if you look at the backlog right now, there are more than 500 or almost 500, blighted properties that are going through the condemnation process in progress of being addressed right now. And that is a significant number. And you're not going to address that, whittle that down by only hearing 25 a meeting.
Once you get through the condemnation process, what happens? Well, I'm sorry. Let's go back to the beginning of that process. Where's the homeowner in this, and how hard is it to track down actual deeds, titles, and ownership?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at the condemnation process, there's due process built into it. Property owners of these blighted structures are notified via letters in the mail, and you know there's a process that this goes through, and ultimately at the end of the day, the Metro Council has the final say. But under the Senate bill and the House bills, there would be an opportunity to appeal these hearings should a property owner, not like the judgment of condemnation or whatever. And that would go to the 19th JDC. So there is a process in place under these bills to make sure that property owners are not losing their property rights or anything like that. And there's also fair market value compensation built into these bills. You know, it's not just the mayor president or Bill Baton Rouge taking authority of these properties with no consideration given. They would have to provide fair market value compensation to the property owners or to the heirs of the property if the property owner can't be located, but the heirs may pop up, 5-10 years down the road. That fair market value compensation is built into the process as well.
We're talking with Jake Polansky from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber about the blight problem. It's the subject of the latest BR by the numbers. If they were to offer fair market compensation for everything out there, that's going to cost the city parish a pretty penny. Can we afford that?
It would. And, I think that kind of gets into the strategy behind this approach. Like you said, because they have to provide fair market value compensation, it's not like Build Baton Rouge tomorrow, if these bills pass, would go out and, expropriate every single blighted property. It's just not realistic. They cannot come up with the funding to be able to do that. And that gets into the kind of the strategic approach to how do we actually start to think about rebuilding these neighborhoods and revitalizing these neighborhoods where there is a lot of blight present. And if you look at what's worked in other communities, and I think Bill Baton Rouge understands this well, you have to have a targeted approach in how you do this. I don't think that Bill Baton Rouge's plan with this would be to kind of cherry pick properties from throughout East Baton Rouge Parish that are blighted and redevelop kind of properties on a one-off basis. I think that they would go in and look at specific neighborhoods, maybe even specific streets within specific neighborhoods and say, okay, let's look at these 5 properties right here. Let's redevelop these 5 properties and really try to get some momentum going on this specific street or in this specific neighborhood, because that type of approach is what will attract private investment. And that is ultimately what you want from this process, is to start to really get the private sector involved in redeveloping and revitalizing some of these neighborhoods.
Okay. And I'm just naming streets at random here. This is not real. This is hypothetical. Okay. But if you say we want to revitalize these homes on 35th Street, what's to stop the crime from 34th and 36th from converging on it to impede that process?
Yeah, well, that's actually one interesting thing that we found in the academic research, which is that when you fix up these blighted properties, and when these blighted properties are either rehabbed or torn down completely and rebuilt, and then someone new moves into that property, what they found is that it's not like crime is displaced to new areas, neighboring neighborhoods, neighboring streets, something like that. What they found is that crime is erased, that those homicides, those violent incidents that were occurring on that block or were kind of inspired by that blighted property, it's not like that crime moved somewhere else. That crime was erased altogether. So I really think that, when we start to rebuild some of these neighborhoods, especially some of these neighborhoods that are closer to the city's inner core, I think that, this is a true crime prevention strategy, not only for the short term, but the long term as well.
We got Jake Polansky on with us from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber, talking about blight as part of the latest BR by the numbers Substack. Jake, when crime is connected to blight, that's not necessarily the motivator for crime, though, right? I mean, there are other factors involved here, and those problems don't necessarily go away. A lot of our crime is drug related. Do the supply and the demand of the drug market in Baton Rouge, how does it disappear as well?
No, and that's a fair point. And we really focused on violent crime and homicide in our research, because we think that is the most pressing thing that we have to solve. We have to make sure that homicides in this parish go down. I mean, that is priority number 1. And, I think when you look at crime broadly, it's connected to a lot of things, but what the research found consistently is that if you look at blighted properties, the location of blighted properties will help you predict where crime is going to happen in the future. And I mean, there's one point that I want to kind of emphasize, and it's that one of these studies looked at blighted properties in a major U.S. city, and it looked at areas that were within 250 feet of that property. And then it compared that to areas within 350 feet of that property. So I think kind of like the next 100 feet.
Right.
And what they found is that homicides were 19% higher within that 250 feet than in that next 100 feet. And I mean, in reality, we're talking the exact same neighborhood here. The only real difference is the location and the proximity to that blighted property. So, I mean, through all of these different ways of kind of looking at this academic research, which kind of digs into foreclosures as well and abandoned properties as well, I think what it found is that, crime is contributed, or there are a lot of different things that contribute to crime, but blighted property is one of those specific things. And we have the power to really do something about blighted property here.
Okay, now how quickly can we do it? One of the things, and you may have touched on this earlier, but one of the things that the article talks about says the Metro Council only hears up to 25 condemnation proceedings per meeting. They're batting at less than 1,000 on that for sure. When it comes to deleted items, and then not all of them get the condemnation that is looked at. So, is there a way to maximize efficiency on? And I say this knowing full well that there are property owners out there who do have their rights, but is there a way to maximize efficiencies to get us cleaned up?
Yeah, so that is the purpose of one of the bills that we're tracking this session that we're supporting, which is that if you move the condemnation process to the mayor president's office, then they can see these properties and evaluate these properties on a rolling basis, and they do not have to wait for Metro Council meeting every other week and only hear up to 25 at those meetings in order to look at these blighted properties and potentially condemn them. And you brought up one thing that I do think is worth emphasizing. So they only hear up to 25. The Metro Council only hears up to 25 condemnation proceedings per meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But we looked at 3 Metro Council meetings between January and February of this year.
Right.
And fewer than half of those condemnation proceedings were adopted, meaning that fewer than half of those structures will eventually get torn down by the city parish or by the property owner due to it being condemned. That means that more than half were either deferred 90 days or 120 days, or they were deleted altogether, which means that it's essentially off the docket. They're not going to consider it in the condemnation process. And there's one property that I think is worth just kind of looking at. So if you want to look at this research, it's at brbythenumbers.substack.com. There's one property that we use as an example, and we blacked out the address. But if you look at Street View, I mean, the Google Street View does not look good. And if you kind of track this property over time, it was first complained about in January of 2021.
Yeah.
So that's like 4 years ago. And it's been referred to the condemnation process by making a 311 request like 3 or 4 times over that period of time, over the last 4 years. But it's continually been deleted or deferred altogether. And at the February 26th Metro Council meeting, it was deleted. And there was nobody who spoke up on the property's behalf. So there was no property owner there saying, I'm working on this, just give me a little bit more time. Nothing like that happened. It was deleted altogether. And if you look at the pictures, I think it's an ugly sight to see.
No, it absolutely is. It's disgusting. And the inside is worse than the outside, and the outside's bad enough. In the meanwhile, we are just straight up out of time. Hey, can you do me a favor and hit me up offline with whose bills these are that are in the legislative session? Because I definitely want to follow up on them as they make their way through.
Yep, I'll send that to you. Thanks,
I appreciate it. He's Jake Polansky from the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. Always a great conversation, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian.
Absolutely. Local news, traffic, weather. We'll go inside the Capitol to talk with Tim Temple next. That was freaking incredible. That's going to be featured. Headline: Battling Blight in Baton Rouge. Battling Blight in Baton Rouge. I mean, the second you texted, you were already in the building, sir. Or is it all right This Fleming Cassidy race is hilarious to me. Look, I've been quite vocal about Scott McKnight should be our treasurer right now because he wanted the job. John Fleming wanted the. Yes, sir. Scott McKnight wanted to be treasurer. John Fleming wanted a voice to run for Senate. Yes, he said he was like when he was campaigning for treasurer. He actually said he was going to do that. Yeah, Scott McKnight he had an ad about it. He said he wanted the platform. I just what? You look good in black. Trust Fund Temple, huh?
Decided to go personal.
No shit. And a friend of mine who works for Spencer Callahan. And I told him, I was like, it was weird that it was the Mercy Fair. Yeah. I was like, dude, I was shitting all over your boss last week. He's like, why? I was like, because the governor's taking shots at insurance companies for their profits. And I said, I'll remember that the next time I drive past Spencer Callahan's helipad. Yeah.
Look, let's just assume you bought into the argument they make, which like insurance companies 70% loss ratio. It means a 30% profit. Okay,
And you know what?
and it doesn't, right?
No.
But let's just assume you buy into that. Then what is a 40% cut of an award that a law firm takes? Right.
Right.
They get 40%.
Right.
So what would that be? Is that excessive? I mean, it's like they don't like 30%, but 40% is okay. Even though those arguments don't hold water, because there's things, expenses, and all that built into those numbers.
Let's I tell you what, let's start off by getting back to basics.
Okay. Sure.
Can we talk about just overall what determines car insurance rates?
Sure.
Because I feel like we're at a point in the session where there's so many different arguments going everywhere that I don't want to lose track of.
Yep.
Okay. Number two is the governor keeps talking about the record profits.
Yep.
Is that nationwide or state by state? And then we'll dive into some of the bills. Man, Emily Schiniver's bill, comparative fault. It's gonna die, isn't it? It's gonna die in June Day.
I think they're going to chop it up. If it gets out, it's going to be so watered down that it's going to be the same as being dead.
Okay. Are the mics on right now? .737 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Yes, we are keeping one eye on that forecast for the next 48 hours or so, as it will get nasty. Speaking of getting nasty, it has been getting nasty in the state capitol. Well, not nasty yet, but we're getting there. And look, to a certain extent, This has got to happen. Well, how did Clemenza put it? Every 10 years or so, you got to go to the mattresses, cleans out all the bad blood. Am I setting the tone too much for Insurance Commissioner Tim Tipple? How are you, sir?
Morning, Brian.
Yeah. Do you want to distance yourself from my comments already?
So good to see you today.
Likewise, always. And look, don't let my rhetoric get in the way of what's actually going on. It's I'm being over the top, to be sure. We got a lot going on inside the state capitol right now. A lot of really, really, really good bills are getting to the point where we might see some change to them, some scrutiny, some watering down, whatever, or some just flat out stalling out. Before we get into those bills, though, at 4 weeks plus into the session, can we reset the table here and get back to the genesis of the discussion? And that is, our car insurance rates are too high. I would like, if possible, kind of a 10,000-foot view. What determines car insurance rates?
Yeah, Brian, good question. But look, before we do that, I know y'all been talking about the weather this morning, and I just want to take an opportunity to tell everybody to be weather wise today. I mean, they've been talking about forecast potential flash flooding since yesterday, day before. So it's a real threat. Be aware of it. Everybody knows how to take precautions, but just watch the weather today and tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yes.
Insurance. Yeah. Look, rates, whether you're talking about auto or homeowners, workers' compensation, umbrella, general liability, it's all based on the premise of companies charge a premium based on a predicted loss.
Okay.
So they take loss history, then they take the physical risk itself, whether it's a car, whether it's a home, and then they apply factors and they come up with a premium. And, I've been saying for a while, premiums follow losses. If they charge you $1 this year and they have $1.10 in losses, then next year, if they want to stay in business and want to be able to pay claims, then they need to charge more than what the next round of predicted losses is going to be.
Okay.
And when we talk about a lot of changes going on, a lot of this changes is designed to force premiums or losses down so that premiums will follow, right? So that's what we're talking about. So think about your homeowner's insurance or your car insurance, but either one. If you think about the amount of money that you pay in premiums versus the risk that the insurance company is assuming, do your own math. How much you paid for homeowner's insurance this year?
Okay.
How much you paid for auto insurance this year versus how much the insurance company has to pay out if you have a max limit loss. If your home, right, it's somewhere around, a lot of times it's around 0.5%, 1%. Maybe we're getting a little higher than that right now. But think about that. 1% of the limit that they've got exposed. How do they do that? A lot of people, well, how does that work? Because it doesn't work for you and I just on a day-to-day basis. It's because they have large numbers. They write a lot of policies, but they also have surplus. They have money in the bank. Okay. I say that, insurance companies pay claims on a debit card, not a credit card. They pay claims
that makes sense.
With money that they have.
They are a for-profit business. They need to make money.
They're a for-profit business, and we want them to make money so they can pay our claims. Right. When you have a claim, you don't want them to say, well, look, we only took $100 in on your premium. I know you got $1,000 loss, but we're only going to pay you $100. No, you want them to pay the $1,000, whatever they're obligated to pay. Well, they've got to do that by having money from other customers that don't have losses, right? And also having money in the bank, surplus. So that's what part of the profit that they make. And I know we're having conversations on what profit is and excessive and all that, but part of the profit that they make goes towards surplus, putting money in the bank, also making investments, stock market, bonds. I mean, look, insurance companies own hundreds of millions and actually billions of dollars of Louisiana treasuries, of Louisiana bonds.
Really?
They invest in Louisiana.
Okay.
We've got pensions. All of our pension funds have huge investments in insurance companies. They're good quality, right? But insurance premiums, it's, and again, I know there's a legislation going on, who can say what, who deems what excessive and all that, but insurance companies in Louisiana today have to prove the math. If they want to charge a premium for the risk they're assuming, they have to justify it to the Department of Insurance through actuarial science, through actuarial numbers.
Okay.
And if it's too little, if they want to charge less than the premium needed for the risk that they're assuming, that's called inadequate. And we don't allow that.
Well, just to be clear, why wouldn't we allow that?
because that means that they are likely to not have the money to pay future claims.
Okay.
They're not charging enough money to cover future claims. If they charge too much money for the risk they're assuming, that would be deemed excessive.
Okay.
And we don't allow that.
No, and we understand why we don't allow that.
And I have disallowed that. I have told insurance companies 39 times since I've been commissioner of insurance, your math is not adding up. Go back to the drawing board.
Okay.
21 times I've told companies their rates are excessive, meaning you're charging what you want to charge is too much for the risk you're assuming.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the authority and I exercise it. If the premium they are charging is just right for the risk they're assuming, then that's called rate adequate.
Mm-hmm.
And then we approve that. We let them use that rate. So, this conversation that people are, and it's a false narrative that, as commissioner of insurance, whether it's myself or the previous commissioner, we've had the current rating structure since 2007, 2008, when Governor Mike Foster abolished the rating commission.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very politicized body, and he got rid of it because of that. And the current structure works. Insurance companies have to prove the numbers. The problem in Louisiana is we don't like the math. We want to ignore the math. We don't like the fact that we have losses so much that it justifies the premiums being charged.
I
know that's a lot to take in.
No, and I don't want to get distracted on this, but the way you're describing this, I think your words just a minute ago where I have the authority and I exercise it. When it comes to the idea of changing up your office and giving your office, as I believe the governor said, the same power that Mississippi and Texas have, the way you're describing it, it sounds like you already have that.
I do.
Okay.
And like I said, we exercise that. I'm just going to say, be polite and say it's a false narrative that the Department of Insurance, the Commissioner of Insurance, myself, does not have the authority to deny rates when they aren't actuarially justified, whether up or down, excessive or inadequate. I do, and we exercise it. Like I said, we've done it numerous times since I've been commissioner.
One of the other talking points we've seen along the way is that insurance companies, are making record profits.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I have not followed up on that is, are those record profits nationwide or statewide?
Well, look, I still have not. I know a lot of numbers have been thrown out there by the group of status quo, the people that don't want anything to change in the state, and they keep referring to, billions and billions of dollars made by the industry, and they allude to the fact that it's being made here in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah,
and I can show you. And look, I have demonstrated. I've sent this out to media. I've sent it out to the House and Senate members. I've sent it out to leadership to show them NAIC, National Association of Insurance Commissioners database. It is the gold platinum standard for numbers. Historically in Louisiana, insurance companies lose money, both property and auto.
Right.
And you can't take a look at it any one year. Did they make money last year? Yes, I think they did in Louisiana. A little bit.
Yeah.
Historically, over a 10-year period, they've lost a lot of money. It's like a 1.7%, 1.70% loss ratio on commercial trucking. So that means every dollar they took in, they wrote out $1.70 in losses, right?
If I'm in business and I'm doing that, I'm going out of business.
You're going out of business, and that's long term. And we want companies here. I don't want a company to come in 1 year, write your auto or your homeowners, make a little money, and leave. Right. That doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do the stability of the market any good. We want companies here long term. So we have to acknowledge that in the current environment, the current legal environment on auto, they lose money historically. Property side, yes, they lose money.
Well, so I've always just assumed they lose money on the property side because that's that Hurricane Alley, the whole works.
And we want these companies, it's all of a sudden profit has become a bad word in Louisiana for some reason. Look, and I get it. If you think that they're making gobs of money off of you and I in premiums, I could give you a little credit if that's what was actually taking place, but it's not. And so we've got to be transparent and we've got to be honest with ourselves and realize that insurance companies doing business in this state are not making money historically. We want them to. We want them to be here. But let me tell you this: if that is the case, if there's people out there that believe that insurance is, you come to Louisiana and you're just going to get rich in the insurance business, let's start a Louisiana-based insurance company.
Didn't we do that already?
Let's start writing.
Property?
Well, we do for work comp.
Yeah.
LWCC.
Yeah.
We have Louisiana Citizens, but it's not. It's a non-profit. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to make enough money again to cover future losses. and have proper reinsurance, but we don't have anything for auto. And I propose that let's have that conversation. Let's create a market. Let's start with commercial trucking. Let's create a Louisiana commercial auto corporation. LCAC. Let's do it. If so much money is being made that the leadership and trial attorneys and everybody says that these companies are making gobs of money writing vehicles here in Louisiana, let's get in the business.
But you already know that's a bad idea.
I know it's a bad idea.
So it's
But if they think that's the case, then let them stand up and say, yeah, let's do it. Let's make some money here. But it's not happening.
Can I keep you till 8 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we got 1 minute until we got a break for your money now. On the back end of that, we'll have about 4 minutes once we come back from traffic. Let's dive into 2 or 3 bills, just get updates on where they are and what the temperature is of them right now. Before we get you to your money now, well, interestingly enough, let's keep it in the automotive field. Got to remind you about the folks over at Vex European. VexEuropean.com is the website. If you drive a European vehicle, you bought that thing for a couple of reasons. Performance and longevity are probably 2 of those reasons. Vex European, Vinny and his team over at Vex European want to make sure you are maximizing both performance and longevity. How long are you keeping your car? Mine's a 17-year. I have a 17-year-old Mercedes. My Mercedes is just about to be old enough to vote. Longevity is key here because they're maintaining it with a Mercedes tech who knows my vehicle, who every time I go in for service, even if it's as simple as an oil change, I'm paired with the same person who's going to follow my vehicle the same way my doctor follows my chart. If you drive a Mercedes, a BMW, a Jaguar, a Land Rover, any European vehicle, visit VexEuropean.com. Hit that little drop-down tab by vehicles to see if yours is on there. Then hit the little appointment button to book your appointment at Vex European. Here's your money now.
All right, so we got modified fault. We've got mid transparency. We've got Chelsea. We've got no play. Okay.
Oh,
How was the fair?
amazing.
Was it good? Well,
Always is. I'm still tired. It's I was explaining to John yesterday. I'm physically exhausted and mentally recharged. I just love being out there all weekend long. Just kids running around, boozing it up with the wife, just eating everything under the sun. It's my own little mini vacation. Gluttonous, to be sure.
gluttonous.
7:55, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We have 4.5 minutes left with Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple, and I've got 45 minutes worth of conversation to be had within that time. Let's check in on some bills, if we could, please. Let's start with an open-ended question. What bill are you most feeling positive about? I know it takes a whole package to get any real movement here, but what are you feeling the most positive about?
I can't answer that because there is no one. And let me tell you, but this is what happens.
They all end up in the same damn committee on the Senate side. I'm sorry, I'm going to get you in trouble again. But
look, I'm in trouble. Don't worry about that. Look, I can tell you if I say one bill I like better than the other, then everybody's going to take that and spin it into this is a magic, this is a silver bullet bill. But I can tell you again, because insurance is complex on the fixes that we need to do. It takes a lot of different bills, but let me just run through. There's a couple of them. You've got, the bill from last year, Housley presumption,
Michael Mellorine's
bill. We've got, last year it was referred to as collateral source. We're calling it medical transparency.
It's Representative Glorioso's bill.
Right. And look, we didn't, the name isn't changed because trying to do anything nefarious like the other side, the status quo group wants you to think. It's because most people in this state, despite the number of attorneys we do have, most of us still are not attorneys. Right. And so when you say, collateral source, that's more of a legal phrase. Medical transparency, most people can relate to what we're talking about.
And to break it down even further than that, it's the amount that's billed versus the amount that's paid.
Correct.
And there's a discrepancy between the two, and the amount that is awarded doesn't necessarily have to be the amount that's paid, which I will never understand.
Right.
But that's where it is you can take what's paid and then ramp up to what was billed from there. So
medical transparency.
Right.
There you go.
Fixing that is a problem.
That's another bill. Modified comparative fault. I mean, that's a strong bill. I think 34 other states have it. We don't. No pay, no play. If you drive around without auto insurance and you get in a wreck, you shouldn't be able to recover. Now, this bill doesn't go that far. It says you just can't recover the first $100,000. So, you run into a truck, and even under today's law, you run into a truck and it's your fault, you can still sue for that $1 million or $2 million or $5 million or whatever you want. You just don't collect the first 100,000.
Okay.
So, it's a step though.
Yes.
It's called, stumbling forward, if you will. Damage cap. That's one that we've seen other states in recent history have started taking to tackle their auto liability, legal liability reform. Damage caps. Our neighbors to the east of Mississippi, they can't collect the first 1 million. I mean, it's capped at 1 million. There's a bill by Senator Blake Miguez, loser pays. If you bring litigation and you lose, then you have to pay the prevailing party's legal.
I've actually got that one printed out for 8:15 when Blake Miguez joins us.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm going to try and tune in and listen to that. So, but no, so those are a couple of good bills. Now, look, the House got about 16 or so bills off the House floor over to the Senate. They'll be going through the process. I believe that Jude A is going to start hearing bills next Tuesday, the 13th. That's what I was heard. So I get your listeners to tune in, pay attention to that, log in, call your legislators, ask them to demand actually that they support these bills coming out of those committees in strong fashion, the way that they got them. They came out of the House. and let the Senate have a good, strong debate on the Senate floor.
Mhm.
That's what we've not had. We didn't have that last year. We need it. The citizens of Louisiana and businesses deserve it.
The only one that doesn't look like it's going through Jude A would be Kim Carver's bill on advertising. Does that potentially stand a better chance because it's not going to the committee that kills everything?
Well, I mean, look, that's a bill that discusses advertising, but it doesn't limit it.
It
We gotta-
enhances it.
Well, we got to talk about that. I mean, I'm all for transparency. I want more transparency, but I don't want people thinking that this is going to have a direct, direct impact on losses.
He is Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple. The clock has just caught up with us. We'll be back in touch very, very soon. Thank you for the update, sir.
Thanks for the opportunity. Be safe.
8 o'clock. Here comes news. I think I have you. You're the. I don't remember what date it is on the calendar, but
For what?
for your regular segment.
Oh yeah, I don't even know, but whatever it is, I'll be here.
Yeah.
So-
I want to see if we can map it out to where there's room for one more in between there.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
got it.
Oh yeah. Well, look, if I'm here, and this like 7:30 time is real easy because I got to be over there for normally 9 o'clock for hearings. So this works good. If that
Perfect.
works for you.
It does.
There was another. I didn't get to it, but back in 2004 and 2005, Florida got hit with 7 hurricanes in that period.
04 was the year Andrew hit.
No, Andrew was 92.
Oh shit, Andrew was that long ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
no, 04 was the year before Katrina.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that was when you had Ian and Ivan, and I mean there were all kinds of. I mean they were crisscrossing the Gulf of Mexico.
Yep.
Some coming across the Florida Peninsula, then curving back and hitting them again. It was crazy. But they had their property market went upside down.
Yeah.
At the time, they enacted some really crazy bills. They taxed excessive profits for insurance companies. They made Florida citizens a competitive market. And they told like auto writers, because they had a lot of auto writers at the time, if you're Haldane Insurance Company and you offer auto in Florida, but you offer homeowners in Alabama, you have to offer homeowners in Florida. And insurance companies left in droves. And their Florida citizens, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of policies poured into their citizens because there was no market.
Right.
They tried to price control. They tried to say, we're going to tell insurance companies where they have to do business, who they have to do business with, and excessive profits and all that. And the insurance company said,
Didn't we run down that path here in Louisiana as well?
well, we're trying to run down it right now with that House bill with Carter, with the Carter-Wiley bill now. The one that the Commissioner Authority bill.
Oh yeah.
So it's crazy. Just let me know if you want to do something in between my next
Absolutely.
gig. So
Absolutely.
appreciate
If
you as
there's anything
always.
you want to send this way.
Yeah.
Because I know individual stories hit home as well.
Yep.
Yeah. I had one on, I think it was last week or so, of a woman who owns a tow truck business.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jessica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was powerful.
Yeah. Oh, she's strong.
So
I mean, she is.
I'm here for all of it.
She's gutting her business because of insurance. And look, I mean, I get it. Her tow trucks don't cost any more to repair this year than they did last year.
Right.
It's the fact that I had one guy. He told me, he said, and he's got a lot of trucks. He said, like every truck I put on the road, it's like a gun's pointed at it. It's a target. He said, so the more trucks I have on the road, the more exposure I have. He said, that's where we are. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all.
Always. Thanks.
All right. I'll see if I can get some people.
Yeah. He's featured as well. Headline simply updating the insurance battles. Updating the insurance bills. We'll want you to send Palermo the Tim Temple interview. That's going to be heard statewide today. 806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. Whew. I'm not dialed down yet.
What a show, huh?
Bro.
It's good.
A long time ago, I shouldn't say a long time ago, but 2 years ago, I really started talking about the insurance stuff. I really committed myself to start learning more about it and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know Jack Diddley, right? I'm still at square one. I feel like I've learned a lot over the last 2 years, but I'm nowhere near where I could be.
Right.
Every time that man's in the studio, I learn more. And it just and his fire and passion is contagious.
Yeah.
Right?
On and off the mic.
Yeah.
Even off the mic.
It's so rare to have somebody in the right place at the right time to do that job, to do their job. You on a statewide level. I'll give you another perfect example. Could you imagine a better ag commissioner than Mike Strain?
Right.
Now translate that to the insurance world.
Yes.
I think that's where we're headed here.
Yes.
I hope. I just that was informative. That was riveting. That was like, insurance should not get you fired up like that. I mean, listen, you've made it your life's work. If you've made it your life's work, then yeah, you're dialed in.
Yeah. But when you could get people just as fired up about it as you are,
correct,
then it's contagious, right?
Correct.
That's what it is.
And it's translatable.
That's it.
So always appreciate his time. This hour, State Senator Blake Miguez is in our next segment. He had one of the bills that Tim Temple was talking about. We'll talk about that and a few others with Blake Miguez. Get a full-on legislative update next. After that, I've got a bounce at 8:30, but we've already recorded an interview with the Louisiana Firemen's Foundation. That would be Mr. Doug Thompson. Yes, that Doug Thompson. Duggars and Kyle Shuford from the Louisiana Firefighters Association. They've got an event coming up, but give us a full-on tutorial of who they are, what they do, and why. Fantastic stuff. I recorded the interview yesterday. You're going to love it. That's coming up at 8:35, and then John's going to have the outside in for you before it's all said and done. But right now, we hand it over to John for this day in history.
All right. Starting off.
Where are we starting off?
1889.
Okay.
The Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
way better than what I was looking at. All right.
Ooh. Well, maybe we'll just go ahead with this one then.
Go for it.
Explosion Universelle at the World's Fair in Paris opens with the recently completed Eiffel Tower.
Oh, wait, what?
Right. Yeah. Well,
wait, explosion?
Explosion?
I don't think
Universelle. Universelle.
I don't think that's okay.
I know, right? It's in the same. Yeah, it's in the same story. On this day, if you're looking for a reference
from
onthisday.com.
Okay.
Just
Let me pull that up. Yeah, just make sure.
Opens with the recently completed Eiffel Tower serving as the entrance arch. Entrance arc.
Not explosion. Look at that word again.
Exposition.
There you go. Kind of a difference there.
Exposition.
Kind of a difference. You're talking about the World's Fair versus something blowing up.
Explosion at the.
Not explosion.
I know. Exposition. No,
there
no,
you
no.
go.
I know,
All right.
Yeah. And so intrepid visitors have to climb 1,700 steps to reach the top. 1,700 steps in that thing. You
Yeah.
get your steps in, man.
My daughter's been there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she went.
Oh, nice, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. I've
Hey.
never been. I'd like to go.
No, it'd be fascinating for sure. 1937, German airship, the Hindenburg, explodes in flames.
Now that's explosion.
That's an explosion.
The other one's the World's Fair. The Hindenburg actually blew up.
That actually blew up.
Yeah.
Killing 35 of the 97 on board and 1 on the ground.
Yep.
Terrible. Terrible. In 1957, the Pulitzer Prize for biography awarded to John F. Kennedy for Profiles in Courage.
I've read
happened
that.
as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. 1960, U.S. President Eisenhower signed Civil Rights Act of 1960. Music news here. 1968, Columbia Records releases Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison.
What was that?
What is that?
Did we fire off a break accidentally?
No, I didn't even touch anything. My fingers wouldn't even by it.
Okay.
All right, that was odd. Very strange.
Mm-hmm. Back on track. Johnny Cash?
Yes. Yeah, live at Folsom Prison. Yeah.
Kind of a popular album.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hey, 2002 entrepreneur Elon Musk found SpaceX.
Okay. That's doing all
Did
right.
that happen? It's probably his fault that 2 years later sitcom Friends airs its season finale.
You think?
Probably,
You can blame
right?
that on Elon. Might as well. We blame everything else on Elon.
Right. That's what I figured, you know? It's probably his fault.
Yep.
What something's going on with the stack. The screen is kind of
Is it in the stack or is it on the buttons?
it's the screen just went black. It started playing stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Radio server has been lost. I'm just programming note live on
Okay.
air.
All right. Yeah,
Something's-
no, these things.
Yeah,
It's live radio. Stuff happens.
Something's going on here.
All right. Well, let's keep it turned off. We can go without the background music for right
Yep.
now.
What about birthdays?
Was that all you had on the
I did. Yep.
Okay, that's all you had on the events front. I'm gonna take us down to New Orleans for a hot second because on this day in 1957, City Hall opened up. May 6, 1957, the New Orleans City Hall was the grand opening of that, and also on this day, had one more for you if you don't mind. The nope, that was a birthday. All right, go birthdays, go.
All right, Sigmund Freud.
Okay.
Orson Welles.
Okay.
Bob Seger today as well.
All right.
Let's see. Willie Mays as well.
Willie Mays. All right.
Anybody else on your end?
Yeah, George Clooney.
Okay, yeah.
Former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Tony Blair.
Yeah.
And then in the sports world, got a few for you in sports. How about former New Orleans Hornet Chris Paul?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And former Cowboys tight end Jason Witten. Friend of the show, host of American Ninja Warrior and great fantasy football guy, Akbar Gbajamelia, was born on this day in 1979. And I had one more. Got to scroll down to get to it. You already had Willie Mays.
Yep.
Last one we got is, Former LSU Tiger, New Orleans Saint tight end Foster Moreau. How about that? Boom, done.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. As far as deaths go, I don't know about you, but on my end, it's a little slow on deaths today.
We're fine with that.
Yeah. I don't even know if anyone would even. Let's put it this way.
Go for
L.
it.
Frank Baum. He
Who?
was best known as for children books like The Wizard of Oz and its sequel.
Oh, okay.
So it's stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, we can roll with that.
yeah. As far as you want to move to national days?
Well, I
or
had
deaths?
another writer for this
Okay.
that died on this day, Henry David Thoreau.
Okay.
So there you
Yeah.
go. What national days you got?
Just quoted him the other day. Dang. National Teacher Appreciation Day.
Okay.
And National Nurses Day. So 2.
Yeah, both valid.
Yeah.
All right. It's good to get 2 good ones in one day
Right.
because normally we go 3 weeks without a good one.
Right.
So
Right.
awesome stuff. It is 8:15 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Are we able to take a break here?
We should be able to.
Okay, then let's take that break. Come back, talk with Blake Miguez next. What? Yeah. All right. You need Blake Miguez's phone number. Did it not play the traffic report? Okay. Eight 816 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. My apologies, y'all. We are having major computer difficulties right now. So John is working his way through that. He's also lining up our next guest. You may have noticed that traffic report didn't happen right there. Let me see if I can do this on the fly. I've actually closed everything out, so I'm not keeping an eye on traffic right now. I'm as we speak, opening things back up again to get the latest on traffic. And here's what we're looking at right now. From the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center, we are looking at some pretty significant delays on I-10 eastbound, making their way through the heart of Baton Rouge. We're also looking at some slowdowns, minor slowdowns on 10 westbound as we're moving through Baton Rouge. The reason that the delays are heavier eastbound, heading like from downtown towards Acadian, is there's a stalled vehicle I-10 east at Perkins Road. That stalled vehicle is reported about 4 minutes ago, and it's causing backups to the 10-12 split, or just before the 10-12 split, the downslope of the bridge, all the way until you get to just about the Perkins Road exit is where that'll start to pick back up again on 10 eastbound. 10 westbound is just your standard slow going from the 10-12 merge all the way through town. 12 westbound coming in from Denham Springs is backed by Range Avenue, and then you got heavy volume on the rest of the way into town. Meanwhile, your surface streets, there's a stack of accidents to look out for. Let me do these in reverse order, newest to oldest. Segan Lane, right near I-10, there's a brand new crash that's been reported by the sheriff's office. Jefferson Highway at City Farm Drive. Jefferson Highway by Town Center Boulevard. That's congestion that's being reported, not an accident. Up in Zachary, we've got an accident. Church Street at Ravenway. One more back in town, this time East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office reporting an accident. Perkins at Segan. That's your look at traffic from the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center. All right, as we work our way through computer glitches and the like, let's get off the computers and head over to the phone. We've got Senator Blake Miguez with us. How are you, sir?
Morning, Brian. How you doing?
I am doing very well. We're navigating some technical difficulties as we speak, so you and I are going to hold it down until John can pick things back up. How are things going over the session?
Well, we're almost to the halfway point, and we've been staying pretty busy in session. It's intended to be a fiscal session where members can only file a limited number of bills, but this session is very much started out and still continues to be an insurance session, because all we talk about is the high rate of insurance rates across the state.
Are we getting anywhere? I just had Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple on about half an hour ago. Are we getting anywhere with these insurance bills? And yours is one of them, by the way.
Yes, we've made some progress on some of the tort reform bills that are aimed at increasing competition, and it leads to lower rates for our premium payers. And the House of Representatives took up a number of those bills first. And just last week, they cleared most of the tort reform bills through their chamber, sent it over to the Senate. And then there was one that was a little more controversial that had some amendments on Thursday that came across with a different aspect of a different perspective, I guess you could say, that I wouldn't consider maybe the best bill, but they are all part of the conversation.
Do you know which one that was?
That was, I believe it was HB 148 by Wiley. It was actually, I believe, HB 576 that was amended onto the Wiley bill. And what it aims to do is give the commissioner complete control to set rates. And unfortunately, it's against free market principles. And it was done in other states like California that have seen some not great results. It also leads to potential corruption in the future if you have an insurance commissioner who's not as straight-laced as the one we have now. It's been a bill that's been favored by the governor, but if you've been watching the governor and the commissioner have been in a little bit of a tussle lately, and the legislature's found their way somewhere in between the two, and we're just trying to get our insurance rate downs for premium payers and our citizens back home, and we're trying to put all these politics aside and get the policy that works. And we know that in a free market society that competition leads to more opportunities to get bids on your insurance premiums, which leads to lower rates, and that's exactly what we're trying to do.
We're talking with Senator Blake Miguez about the ongoing legislative session. I want to get back into the insurance bills and actually bring up yours as well along the way. I think yours, I believe, is still in committee. Anyway, we'll get back into those bills in just a minute, but you brought up something that I think needs a bigger platform, if you will. And that is, as you're seeing, governor versus insurance commissioners, you're seeing the legislature try to navigate their way through different battles and whatnot. Our state, Senator Miguez, our state is showing so many wins on so many fronts: economic development, education, you name it. Every time you turn around, it's looking like Louisiana is doing a little bit better and better and better. Meanwhile, we have a few battles that have the potential to derail all the progress we're making. As a state senator, how do you navigate these conflicts while not losing sight of the bigger picture that overall things, are moving where we need them to move?
Well, it's kind of like the weather here in Louisiana. One day it's hot, you got a short sleeve shirt on. The next day it's freezing cold, so you better pack a good jacket.
Yeah.
The same thing goes with the political temperature in Baton Rouge. It's ever changing. You're right. We have made some tremendous progress on crime, education, tax reform. We've had some huge economic development announcements, not only in places like, along the river, just east of Baton Rouge, but places in Northeast Louisiana haven't seen any type of large-scale economic development in decades, which is some very exciting stuff. And I think we're headed in the right direction on all those avenues. The biggest issue that citizens across the state face, and their number one issue in their minds and which affecting their families, is affordability. Property insurance, auto insurance. Now, auto insurance is broken up into two parts. You have your homeowner, your normal residential auto, and then you have commercial auto, which is our trucking companies, which is business. And all across the board, we're in an insurance crisis, and it's the number one issue on voters' minds. And it's sort of taking all of the oxygen out the room, and that's where the focus is, and rightfully so, because we have to make sure Louisiana is an affordable place if we want to really tap into a lot of the other successes that we've had. And it's made some policymakers here frustrated because they like to talk about, great policy, like I mentioned, on tax and education. Those are all great things. But we have to remember that we serve the people back home in our districts, and they are struggling right now. If we can't find ways to relieve their struggles, they're not going to give us that trusting commitment to do all the other changes that this state takes to make our state great and to build a prosperous future. So that's why we're laser focused on insurance reform right now. And it's got a little bit of tension here between our commissioner and our governor, but rightfully so. We should have some open debate and figure out exactly what the solution is. But I can tell you, the solution won't be solved by just passing one or two bills and going about our way. I mean, we need some really bold reform, and we need to make some great changes. And the House has passed over a number of instruments that the Senate gets to debate. And I hope, as a member of the Senate, someone who doesn't sit on the Insurance Committee or the Jude A Committee, I hope I get an opportunity to vote on a number of these bills, because I want to send this stuff to the governor's desk, because the governor said he's going to sign everything that's put on his desk. So it's incumbent upon us in the legislature to send them a whole lot of stuff. And I actually authored a bill called Lose or Pay, and it aims to get rid of these frivolous lawsuits.
Okay,
and
let's yeah, go ahead. We're segueing right back into that. That's where I was going next. SB 148 is yours. It's in front of Jude right now, if I'm not mistaken. Talk to me a little bit about what Lose or Pay does.
Well, the state commissioner and the governor agree on one thing, and that's the fact that we have twice as many or more than twice as many of the national average bodily injury claims for every accident that occurs. So we're a very litigious environment. We have a lot of small claims, a lot of frequency. So we probably have a higher susceptibility to frivolous lawsuits. So my bill is just one piece of the puzzle, and what it does is it says that if a plaintiff files a baseless lawsuit, which is completely dismissed by the courts, then the plaintiff must pay for the defendant's legal fees. It's a way to disincentivize and discourage those who file frivolous lawsuits from filing them and not only jamming up our court system, but also running up the cost to your insurance company. Remember, even though they may not collect $1 million, if the insurance company has $50,000 in attorney fees that they have to pay to fight this claim, you are paying for that in your insurance premiums when they figure out their risk portfolio and the loss runs across the state. And there's some other great instruments that look to get rid of frivolous lawsuits and the frequency of lawsuits. And that's a lot of bills that got sent over by the House. I'm just one small piece of that puzzle. My bill is extremely popular back home. I hope it gets a favorable hearing next week in June 8th, but it'll be there with about 15 other bills, all looking to create competition in the marketplace and lower auto insurance rates.
We got Senator Blake Miguez with us talking about a couple of his bills. SB 148 is one of them. Which, yeah, there's a lot of discussion to be had on that, Senator Miguez, in that, is there any way to determine what is a frivolous lawsuit that loses or just any lawsuit that loses?
Well, the way the bill's written is if in a pre-trial motion or a post-trial motion, at some point, if the defendant makes a summary proceeding that says, look, I want to dismiss all the claims, and all the claims get dismissed entirely for being baseless, as in there was not even one viable claim in the whole mix, then we consider that you have to pay the attorney fees. Now, look, if you had one claim that was worth going through the process, then my bill would not apply. So it's strictly focused on those frivolous lawsuits.
And and in the difference is all the difference, right?
That's right.
We got
look, we're getting a little bit of conversation on health as well, getting rid of these ultra processed foods and the MAHA movement. That saw some attention as well this session. The MAHA movement. Okay. Talk to me a little bit about what your bill does and how it's different from what Senator McMath is trying to do. So this is all part of the Make America Healthy Again movement. And what my bill does is strictly focuses on those school lunches and breakfasts. It's modeled off after legislation in Arizona and Utah that focuses in on those ultra processed foods and takes them out of our children's nutrition, which is, we found that when these ultra processed foods, especially children that have ADHD, they have behavioral issues at school, which leads to lesser academic performance. It also leads to childhood obesity, which later leads to negative health outcomes as adults, which you and I all have to pay to treat through Medicaid and other social services. Now, the difference between my bill and Senator McMahon's bills is my bill strictly focuses, and it's only in the Education Committee, on school lunches and breakfasts. Senator McMahon's bill deals with some menus and restaurants. It deals with the SNAP benefits program. It has a portion of my bill as well. It's a lot more broad-based, but mine is strictly focused on our children. And we received favorable support in the Senate Education Committee as well as the floor, and we're off to the House. And we're hopefully to be at the governor's desk in the coming weeks and hopefully get signed into law. And this is a national movement. The Secretary, Robert Kennedy Jr., he has stated that he's going to ban all harmful dyes and chemicals from our food supply in America, which is great because in other countries, especially first world countries in Europe, a lot of these things that you read on the back of the label that most Cajun folks can't pronounce is harmful for you, and it's not in Europe. So why should they have safer foods in those other countries versus the greatest country on this planet, which is America? We should not have these ultra processed foods, which lead to tremendously difficult health outcomes that we all have to face. And it's just a movement I see amongst families across this country, in particular MAHA moms that want their children to have healthier food. And it's It's not only happening in our classrooms, but it's happening in households and across America.
Last one before we get you out of here, and this is only one update along the way. We're gonna have you back on soon because there's so much going on. Let's pivot over to SB 240 in our last minute, if we could, Senator Miguez. If I'm reading this bill right, you're picking up on one of the pieces that was in CA2.
SB 240. Give me the name.
Oh,
of the
sorry.
bill.
You would be
them all
this.
memorized.
No, I know. I nerd out like that. I'm like fantasy football, but for this legislature. Additional standard deduction for taxpayers 65 years of age and older.
Yeah. So you should have started with that.
Sorry.
Okay. So
you're right.
So that bill gets heard today, and I hope I can at least have the attention of the members of the committee. We had some constitutional amendments that failed on the ballot about a month ago. And in those constitutional amendments was an additional double standard deduction for those who are 65 and older when they do their personal income tax. Now, I understand that they wanted to make constitutional changes, but I quickly identified that this could be made in statute in all the different tax changes, whether they're personal income tax, corporate income tax, franchise tax, that all got passed into law and went into effect January 1st by statute. So a lot of the things that happened in the constitutional amendments only dealt with one-time funds and moving things around. And I didn't understand exactly why the seniors could not get their deduction, because if all the tax changes were made statutorily, why can't we give them the deduction? And I didn't want seniors put in a place where they were at political football. Hey, here's an incentive to go to the polls and vote for something you may not necessarily agree with or you haven't read yet, because you get some type of treat. If this is the right thing to do for seniors, and we value seniors across the state, we should vote as a legislature to give them that standard deduction and let the merits of whatever future constitutional amendments come on the ballot be the merits. A lot of that stuff was great policy. I know they're reworking it, but I just don't think seniors should be caught in the middle of this and not seeing their benefit for all the recent tax changes that we did in the tax reform session. We'll see what the members think about it. I'm just trying to be a voice for our seniors and our taxpayers across the state. And I want to start that conversation in Baton Rouge and provide additional options.
He is State Senator Blake Miguez. We always appreciate the time, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Y'all have a great morning.
You do the same. We will check in very soon. All right, local news, traffic, weather, and then we'll talk with the Louisiana Fighter Fighters Foundation next. I gotta go. Guys, we'll see y'all.
So this is why I keep this mug hidden. Let's see. Of course, as Brian mentioned, there will be a pre-recorded interview. So how am I now, Matt? Mic's on? Thing good? As I mentioned, this next segment will be pre-recorded. Highly doubt you want to see any of this, so I'll probably direct the camera back the other way. But yeah, thanks for sticking with it for those who are staying in the Facebook chat. So
All right.
Coming up, not this weekend, but next, we've got a fantastic event in Baton Rouge, bringing together a number of firefighters from all over the nation. Let's welcome in. We got Doug Thompson and Kyle Shuford from the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation. Gentlemen, how y'all doing this morning?
Doing great.
Doing great. How about yourself?
Doing very well. Glad to have y'all in. Before we talk about what we got coming up with the Southwest Classic, let's get to know the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation a little bit. Doug, bring us up to speed on how things got rolling with this foundation.
Yeah, I joined the team a couple years ago, but around 7 years ago, the guys in this room and many others started a conference here in Baton Rouge. The reason is because all the national firefighter conferences cost an arm and a leg to go to. And as you can imagine, just like just about everything else, Louisiana is underserved in its fire service, to say the least. The firefighters, make among the lowest money across the country. So for a Louisiana firefighter or fire department for that matter, to be able to send 2 or 3 guys out to one of these national conventions would cost thousands of dollars. So some guys from Baton Rouge happened to go to one 7 or 8 years ago. They came back, said, Chief, we can do this. And things were born then. The first Lift conference is what we call it. Happened 7 years ago. We had about 50 firefighters here at the Renaissance on right there on Bluebonnet. And it's grown now to where we're at LaBerge. We have 500 or 600 firefighters from, I want to say 7 or 8 states this year, mostly here from Louisiana, but now we have some folks from bordering states who also don't have the money to be able to spend to go to the national type events across the country. So we get some people from Mississippi, Alabama, of course, the eastern side of Texas. But Kyle Shuford actually runs the Lift conference, and this guy and has a team of firefighters that for the first 5 or 6 years, these guys took their paid vacation week specifically to put about 80, 90 hours into this conference, which has a million moving pieces, as you can imagine. But Kyle is actually the director of our Lift conference and all of our special events, and he's one of the original members of the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation.
Well, then let's bring him in right now. Kyle Shuford, what is a Lift conference? What does it look like?
So the Lift conference, it actually stands for Louisiana Instructor and Firefighters Training Conference. It is a conference that lasts about 4 days. It's brought in, we try and bring in volunteers paid from all around the country. It started, like Doug said, we want to try and bring in affordable training. Louisiana is kind of behind on the fire service with training and keeping up with some of the state of the art, different tactics and equipment. So we're able to bring in nationally recognized instructors from New York. We've had some from as far as Washington, Seattle, California, bring them in. And because we're in a box, so what we're trying to do is get everybody outside that box, start thinking outside that box, think of techniques and tactics that not just Louisiana's we're used to doing the old way. We're trying to bring in the new ways and some of the different ways that they do it throughout the country. And maybe we can sprinkle that into some of our tactics. So we bring in them, like Doug said, we started fairly small. We've outgrown Renaissance. We moved to LaBerge. It was a all-in-one kind of venue to where we could do some hot drills with just hands-on training outside. We also hold it at one of our training sites. And we have a bunch of classrooms, and those lectures last anywhere from 2 hours to this year we had one for 8 hours that was included in dispatchers.
Wow.
So we have all kinds of we do medical, we do fire, dispatching, rescue. We actually dug a trench the day before, 3 days before the conference this year, and did a pre-conference trench rescue class. So we try and integrate all kinds of training for firefighters from the newest to the oldest. So it's a task, but we love doing it.
Does everything go on at Low Bears during the conference, or do y'all spread out to some real life scenarios elsewhere?
So all of our lectures, for the most part, are held at LaBerge in their event center. We've split that up, but our hot drills we do at St. George Training Facility, because that is where we this was born, and a lot of us are members of that department. So we use their training tower. We've used Prairieville Fire Department's training tower. So we're looking to expand that to make it more of a entire parish and area wide, where we can use multiple training sites as we continue to grow.
Speaking of being continuing to grow, Doug, Louisiana Firefighter Foundation, while starting with the LIFT conference, has grown into so much more than that. Walk us through a little bit of y'all's evolution.
Yeah, just quickly, over the last 7 years, it started with the conference, and then it just made a lot of sense to offer more education to firefighters with classes here in Louisiana that were beforehand really only available online, and again, fairly costly. We created an academy we call it the Hybrid Academy, which allows firefighters for that 6 to 8 month time period, instead of quitting their job and actually going all into this academy, they're able to keep their job and do all their online, or all their classwork, if you will, online. They come in on the weekends and learn the physical skills that are obviously needed to become a firefighter. But we've been doing that now for 3 or 4 years. We've got 100% graduation placement, 91% first time graduation rate. So it's been an incredible program for our local Louisiana firefighters. And then naturally the evolution was after creating these courses and developing the network of trainers necessary to teach the courses, what else can we do? Well, it made the most sense to go into the community. And we started with our softest targets, which are the schools, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we go in there and specifically teach bleed control. We teach CPR, and then the proper use of an AED to schools all over Louisiana. We've probably been in 100 schools at this point over the last 2 or 3 years. I would say close to a couple thousand teachers. When we teach, we leave behind bleed control kits, for example, for each classroom. Each teacher that learns to stop the bleed, we leave a bleed control kit behind. So that's been an incredible endeavor to get into the community. And of course, now we've developed a membership platform for our members of the Firefighters Foundation. We have civilian members, and of course, we focus on our firefighter memberships. We try to create different types of bonuses for them to be members. Like, for example, we have a scholarship offer out there right now for any of our members to complete an application for their children going to school. I think it's 6 scholarships at $2,500 each. And just there's so many of those things that we're trying to build for our internal membership group. The LIFT conference is obviously one of our major fundraisers every year, and then of course we are constantly looking for ways to get in the community. So we have different type. We call it our Ready platform. We have Ready School, we have Ready Teacher, we have Ready Coach, we have Ready Citizen, we have Ready Business. All of these are slightly different. Some may be very similar, but the idea is to teach life-saving skills and leave back some life-saving equipment as well. Another thing that we do this last year, one of the things that we're most proud of is we did a forcible entry door drop across Louisiana. These doors are, I describe them as like Game of Thrones props. They're made of steel and, cypress wood, and you can't destroy them, and they can be used 100 times or 1,000 times on multiple different techniques to open a door, which obviously is a big deal for a firefighter, right? So we purchased 15 of those doors and dropped them off at no cost to 15 fire departments across the state of Louisiana last year.
Wow.
So, we're very proud to do things like that. But the initiative of our organization, the goal of our organization, is to for the public to understand that firefighters and first responders, for that matter, do more than get cats out of trees and put out fires.
Oh yeah.
The guys in this room have done CPR hundreds of times. Just the 2 guys in this room right now, and there's so many things I didn't know about our firefighters and the support that they need. For example, substance abuse, the divorce rate, they're higher than the national average amongst firefighters and first responders. Suicide is the number one killer of firefighters. Suicide, not buildings and the risk of their job. It's actually the reentry, the PTSD that's involved with being a first responder. Every couple of days, you're reentering back into this normal society, and then back into where a society where your job is to literally go to someone's worst day of their life every day, maybe multiple times a day. So we're trying to raise awareness. We're trying to literally provide support for our Louisiana firefighters. We're trying to raise money to be able to do that. Our mission is to make sure people know what firefighters do. And ultimately, we're trying to use firefighters. That's one of the coolest things. All the trainers that we use are current or former Louisiana firefighters that go into these schools and teach these trainings. So we want to use firefighters to make Louisiana a safer place by utilizing their skills, and their real life experience to train our community, or our citizen responders is what we call it. Because the truth is, Brian, today, right now, we happen to have two first responders by trade and profession in this room with us. But if there weren't, and there were two other citizens like you and I, the truth is the first responder is me or you, or whoever else, right? And what we try to do for our community is prepare them for that 3 to 8 minutes that it's going to take for one of these guys to actually show up and take over. And we feel like if we do that, we may increase the chance of survival. It's certainly when you talk about the heart or a bleed by 30, 40, maybe even 50%. So that's it in a nutshell. That's what we do as a foundation. And we're excited as a foundation to bring this challenge along with Visit DR to Baton Rouge for people to come out and see what these guys go through. ESPN calls this the toughest 2 minutes in sports.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that you and I couldn't just go out there and say, hey, let me get a time on this. We would need oxygen and water. And I mean like oxygen to breathe in and water to drink to be able to get through this thing. These guys are incredible athletes, and we would love for people to come out, bring their kids. I think it's from the 15th to the 17th, right out there at La Berge in the parking lot to the right side. You won't be able to miss us. But it'll be a really cool thing to bring the family to.
So it's the Firefighters Challenge Championship, the Southwest Classic Regional, going to be going on May 15th through 17th. This is open to the public?
Yeah. Yep. No charge.
No charge.
No charge.
So don't even need to buy tickets. We can just show up for this. Kyle, what are we going to see when we do get there? The competition looks like what?
So you'll have some of the best athletes in our field. You'll have them from all around the country. We're going to be over 100 competitors in this competition. But they have 5 different events. It's going to be a tower climb. So they're going to build a tower out there. They have a whole course that they come set up. But you'll have a 5-story tower climb. When you get to the top of that, they'll pull up a bundle of hose, 5 stories. Once they get up, they come back down. They start hitting a sled. Sled to a dummy drag to pulling hose and spraying.
I'm sorry, hitting a sled. I'm getting flashbacks to high school football. What do you mean hitting a sled?
So it's called the Crouere sled, and it sits on the ground, and you're taking a sledgehammer and you're swinging the sledgehammer between your legs and hitting a weighted glide. And you have to move it. I would say probably about 5 to 6 feet. And I can't remember exactly how heavy. I think it might have been a 75 to 80 pound weight that goes in that sled that you actually have to hit. So all of these drills that they do or events are simulations for different fire tactics that we use. So climbing stairs, obviously high rise. You have to do it with a bundle of hose on your shoulder, and you're doing all this on air. So you're breathing in air, and our bottles are normally last about 45 minutes. That's what they're called. When you're actually working, they usually last about 25 to 30 minutes. These guys barely use any air. That's how fit these athletes are. So it's amazing to go out there and watch and see how fast they do it. I think they can get through this course in about 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Oh, wow.
So it's very fast paced. It's very quick. They have the singles, they have a tandem, and they have teams. So this is going to be a full 3-day event with Saturday being is the championship part of it. So anybody that qualifies, they'll go Saturday and they'll compete for the championship, and they're always competing for record holders. So
what happens for the winners? They move on to where?
Winners move on to the national series. I'm not 100% sure where that's going to be held this year, but if you win the nationals or compete for the nationals and qualify, you can go to the world championship series. So this is just another stepping stone in this whole championship series.
How do we hold up? How do we compare? Like Baton Rouge specifically, do we? I don't want to ask it this bluntly, but do we have winners?
Well, there's 8 or 11 states that actually report to the Southwest region. So it's a great question. As of today, we don't have that many Louisiana firefighters signed up, but we are right now offering the first 20 Louisiana firefighters to sign up at no cost. Because you're right, we need some Louisiana guys to come down here and compete against what looks like a more regional type of field. So do you remember the password for it? The passcode. We're going to look for that right now, but let's see here.
The voucher code is VIP of LFF. So VIP OF LFF. And that gets you
LFF. That's a Louisiana firefighter, no cost. That's the code to get in. The website address is right there. You had it up, the regional.
Yeah, I've got the web up. I've got the website up over here. It's firefighterchallenge.com, and then it's a /challenge series. So firefighterchallenge.com, you'll be able to find it from there.
You'll be able to find it from there.
They can find it there. They can find it on our Facebook, Louisiana Firefighters Foundation. We've been posting up pretty much a couple of times a week, and we have videos up that kind of give you an idea of what to expect when you go out there.
Coming up May 15th through 17th out at Low Bears, Doug Thompson, Kyle Shuford. Thank y'all for a couple minutes this morning.
Thanks for having us, Brian.
All right, Facebook crew. Let's see. Sorry, let me get some of this. Get this situated. All right, there it is. Eesh, I see why I don't leave the camera on me. Anyway, let's see. Question time. Let's see. All right, why this job? Oh, let's start here with Kevin. Where were you born? I was born down the bayou, in Houma, Louisiana. Kind of, bounced between Dulac and Dularge most of my childhood, but born in Houma. How long have I worked here? Just a little over a year. Just made a year. And I'll kind of tie that in with Matt's question. Why this job? What other jobs have I had? As a hobby, I've always been doing podcasting, recording. I do spoken word poetry, those type of things. And so I've recorded albums and different things on my own, independently. And so as a hobby, I just was into, podcasting, radio. I've always been intrigued and interested in that. But finally decided to take the leap and start this job. At least make the moves to get into radio, not knowing what it implied. I had no idea. The first board I've ever run was this. And if you can see it, it's a bunch. But let's see, what other jobs have I had? Management jobs in Houma. I kind of ended up out here because of Hurricane Ida. Got displaced, and long story short, when I came out here, I decided that I'm just going to go for it. I didn't know what a job in radio entailed, what it implied, but decided to just go for it anyway. Thanks to the push from my wife, who has seen me work numerous jobs in management and things like that. But I just wanted something more. I wanted something more creative, and so decided to go for it. Dulac, one of my favorite fishing spots. Yeah. That's right, Kevin. It's good, man. God's country. Let's see. How long have I been married? Going on 15 years this month. My wife, Jamie, and I have been married. When was her last date to Sonic? Hey, you've been paying attention because, of course, I shared a story with my wife and I sharing a dance in the Sonic parking lot when we first started dating. Actually, on our first date. What are my hobbies? I love writing. I love creating and encouraging other people to do the same. Some of my hobbies: reading, writing, those type of things, journaling. I'm a journal junkie. Love pens, love notebooks, that sort of thing. Recording. Let's see. What do I do to relax? Watch movies, read. Right, kind of going into that same vein. How many kids? Three girls. Yeah. Let's see. Outside of this, also hobbies, youth ministry, also at the Way in Denham. Let's see. Bucket list destination, London. Got friends in London. Would love to go there. Favorite food, anything Mexican. Yeah. Answered the last question. Where are you from? How long you've been in the area? Yeah, a couple of years now. So yeah, thanks for all the questions. I really get a chance to answer those things. So yeah, thank y'all for being gracious with me. Also, I know some producers have come before me, but thank you guys for making me feel welcome. And yeah, it's been great. It has been great and will be great. So yeah, thank you guys for that. All right, coming in to the last segment of the show, running solo for the first time. I'm John LaBeouf, the producer here for Brian's show, Mornings with Brian Haldane. Brian had to step out, but I'm going to be bringing the show to its close, to its finale, the culmination of a fantastic show. So let's get right into it. This is The Outside In. All right, starting off in Tangipahoa Parish, 2 people were hurt in a shooting Monday night inside the city limits of Amite. Law enforcement sources say one person was shot in the abdomen and another person shot in the head along Martin Luther King Boulevard around 7 p.m. The Amite Police Department is investigating the shooting. Or Amite, I've heard it pronounced both ways. Let's see, moving over to Acadia Parish, a Rain police officer has died following a shooting, according to Louisiana State Police, who is investigating the shooting. Troopers said that they were called to the shooting, which happened in the 500 block of East Harrop Street near North Chavis Street on Monday, May 5th. The officer's name has not yet been released. Closing out in West Baton Rouge Parish, with rainfall expected in the next few days, potentially causing flooding across the capital region. West Baton Rouge Parish officials announced locations Monday where residents can get sandbags. Sand and bags will be available at William and Lee Park, Revolt Park, Alexander Park, Irwinville Park, Mayan Park, South Winterville, Water Tower, Lobdale Fire Station, and the Addis Fire Station. So that is it for The Outside In. So yeah, that is it here with almost 1 minute to go here. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Yeah, it's been a fantastic show, stacked with so many great guests. Just want to thank the guests on behalf of Brian. So Jeff Crouere, Jake Polansky, Tim Temple, Blake Miguez, Doug Thompson, and Kyle Shuford. Thank you guys for coming on, sharing so much insight. Really exciting show today. And man, looking forward to doing it all again tomorrow. I don't have Brian's notes, so I can't confirm or deny who's going to be on the show tomorrow. But yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for listening. Hope you all have a great day. And yeah, see you tomorrow. All right, Facebook crew. Thank you so much for all the questions. Thank you to my wife, Jamie, who entered the chat. Yeah, so thanks to everyone. And we will see you guys tomorrow. I don't know why I'm looking at the screen. I'm so used to looking at the screen. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Thanks for playing along. Any more questions for me? Fire away. But see you tomorrow.